Hello and welcome back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Jordan Rookus and Fawn Baker. Today we have Durb Morrison and Tony Terrell joining us today.
How you doing?
Managers and owners of Red Tree Tattoo and Gallery.
Yes. Yeah, we also do the Hell City Tattoo Festival here in Columbus. And then we have True Tattoo Supply as well. So we've indulged in many aspects of tattooing over the years. You know, started with just collecting and then being studio owners, and then things naturally kind of progressed from there, you know. But it's awesome. You guys have a podcast here talking about tattoo collecting because I am damn near done with my bodysuit. You know, I'm running out of spaces. I see where those old guys kind of run into the full bodysuit before they know it, and then you're literally looking at the last places on your wall in your own personal gallery, you know, on your body. So
you've still got a little bit of real estate left, though.
Yeah,
a little bit here and there, little pieces.
But I'll tell you what, like when you first start collecting, you're like, yeah, put it here, put it there. You know, you don't
think about real estate yet.
Yeah, you don't see it narrowing down. But where I'm at now is I'm at the point where I'm literally looking at the selective spaces that I have left and really trying to plan those last places out.
Right.
You know, because I never thought I'd be narrowing the window down on what I could collect. So when you first start collecting, you can collect all kinds of stuff. Little, big, this, that. You have so much room. As it narrows down, you start to realize, all right, you see the older guys with the bodysuits, you know, like, you realize how that happened. Like a lot of these collectors, too, they start going back through their bodysuits and redoing them as well. So I'm sure that'll be me. Yeah. Once I finish my collection, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back through and recolor things that are older, that need, you know, a little facelift on them.
Tony, you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us about your tattoo history.
Yeah, hey, Tony.
Hi, everyone. It's funny because I can remember a time when I actually had more of a suit than Durb did, and I would make fun of him because he didn't have his feet tattooed yet.
He was all military, too.
Yeah,
so.
But he had you tattooed my foot, and then after he tattooed my foot, I'm like, yeah, now I'm really, but here in the last couple of years, he's gotten a couple of full sleeves and stuff from Guy, so
yeah,
he's really upped his collection, and he passed me fast. Still, although I have like from my hands to my feet tattooed, you know, it's still it's a long journey, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And like you said, you get to that point where like, I'm running out of real estate, I'm running out of room, and then I want this big cool piece, but I only have 6 inches left. And
yep, that's a reality I'm running into also.
6 inches is enough. For a tattoo, it's usually not. So.
And Tony, me and you have been collecting tattoos almost together since we were like teenagers. You know, like
I was
get
thinking
one,
about
I
that
get
on the way
one,
here.
and
Like 33 years I've been getting tattooed.
yeah, it's crazy. I started when I was like 13 years old in Newark.
Yeah, you've been getting tattooed longer than me.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of naturally attracted to it. So when I was a kid, I did art and stuff like that, and my parents praised me for like the little wolf drawings I was doing and stuff like that, even back then. And that inspired me. That made me think I was a good artist as a kid, you know, which is what you need. So, you know, I got the support from my family with art, but then, you know, the little kid in me starts getting corrupt, and I found a skateboard and punk rock music, and a lot of that had tattooed people around it. A lot of the skateboarders were tattooed up.
Right.
A lot of the punk rock dudes and the bands were all tattooed up and crazy, and I love that look. It looked rebellious. It looked individualized, you know, and I think as a kid, everybody's trying to find their path or who they are. And when I looked at tattooing, knowing that I liked art, it was just a rebellious type of art that really attracted my eye, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, at 13, we found a sewing needle in my mom's little sewing kit.
Little stick and poke. Those were the first ones.
You know, and I'd actually seen work from Marty Holcomb in the hometown of West Lafayette on this guy that had a bodysuit from him. You know, it was beautiful stuff that I didn't even realize tattooing could look like. So that influenced me even more to be like, oh.
We're definitely going to talk about Marty some more later on today. But Marty's kind of prolific, and we're all privileged enough to be around him. But
so that influenced me to be like, I would like to look like that, you know? So we had the needle and the sewing thread. At that time, we were straight edge kids. So we were like anti-drug, anti-drinking, anti-smoking.
So that was your way of rebelling, was just covering yourself with little stick and pokes rather than like getting into other trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was another form of trouble. My eyes, I was like, oh, cool. This is rebellious. My parents are gonna hate it. Perfect.
Perfect.
Let's go for it. Right. So we did a little straight edge X on my ankle.
Do you still have it? Can you see
No,
it?
I've got it covered up.
So we're smoking blunts right now. So are you still straight
I am
edge?
not still straight edge. I am smoking a blunt. Yeah, I was a straight edge past about 18, but I think that really being straight edge helped me as a kid to not get into drugs and stuff like that. I saw a lot of other kids go on that probably still have problems today from things they were doing at that age. So I'm really glad straight edge to me was a really good moment for me to grow up in a sober mentality, know what I want, focus on a skill. And then, naturally with art and the artists that I was around, I started getting into the tattoo studio pretty much right out of high school. I just turned 18. And then a lot of the artists and stuff back then were smoking marijuana, were smoking weed, a creative outlet for artists as it still is nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of introduced me. I wasn't against it. I just chose not to do, the drugs and stuff like that growing up. But then when I found it, I found tattooing, and I knew kind of like the tribe of tattoo artists. Then it all kind of made sense, and I'd smoke a little marijuana, little reefers.
Wait,
The reefers.
is that why
Then
I
I
have a
tried
tribal
drugs.
tattoo?
It's
Is
that
that
tribe.
why I have a tribal tattoo? Because I belong
You're
to the
part of
tribe
the
of...
tribe.
Tribe of stoners.
For years I wondered what tribe I belonged to.
Yeah.
So.
All part of the same tribe. So, and then I just kind of got into the lifestyle of it. I like the people behind it. I like the art form. I like the lifestyle. I like the tribe. Everything. And it wasn't popular back then, So back then it was a form of rebellion and art for me at the beginning.
Totally. I like that.
So what were some of the?
Nowadays it's like conformity, though.
Yeah, that is getting to be super mainstream. But what were some of the early tattoos that you did on yourself, or have had covered? Like, tell us some of those stories of like the early stuff versus what you've gone through, kind of replacing the early stuff.
Yeah, that's a blunt cough, by the way, not a COVID cough. Everybody does.
Yeah, it is. These are all THC
Every
coughs.
podcast we're having to clarify.
Exactly.
3 times.
And
a
it's the
podcast.
COVID era. Like, it's worth
It's that
mentioning.
era.
We're all
Sorry.
in good health. We check our temperatures regularly. We haven't gotten to the studio yet today, but we'll all check each other when we walk through the door.
I've
So-
got some pretty funny stories from collecting, actually, for being so young and trying to get tattooed underage and being just crazy skateboarder, punk rock kid around other crazy kids and
I
stuff.
feel like there's a story that you've told me about. You traveled, you got tattooed, and then you didn't have enough to pay for it.
Yeah, that was one of them. Well, the second tattoo I got, actually, Tony took me to get in Columbus, Ohio. So I got the straight edge X on my ankle, and then I got a bulldog on the flag on my chest. When I was 16 years old, lied about my age. I think I saved up change. I think I went up with a fucking change jar.
I remember that jar in your basement that said tattoo fund.
Yeah.
You
And I
really
like-
had a tattoo
I
fund
had a
jar, a
tattoo fund.
literal tattoo
That's
fund
how
jar.
into
That's
it,
awesome.
yeah.
That's
So I was,
amazing.
like, saving up money to get my first professional tattoo from a guy that I ended up tattooing for later on, Tim Miller. And I went up, got the bulldog, looked in the mirror, didn't realize that it was on backwards because when I looked in the mirror, it was like I was like, yeah.
In the mirror, the flag looked correct.
Yeah, so I sat down, so the flag was backwards, but the bulldog wasn't flying south, which was, I think, the artist's main thing at that time. So I got that tattoo. I was 16, and then I started drawing my next tattoo. I drew myself, and it was like this sun that was based off of the skateboarders kind of design and stuff like that. But I went down to Double Eagle in New Philly, Ohio, to one of the female artists back then, actually, Norma Sonneville. Rest in peace, Norma. But she was one of the early female artists in Ohio, with Debbie Lenz and all that back then. And I went in, and I took $250, my fake ID, all this shit, and sat and got tattooed. She was this little Asian lady, and it was in a Hell's Angels shop. So this guy Skip was her husband, and he had his buddies around. He's giant. Like, I'm a big dude, but he was just as big as me, but I was scrawny at 17, so I blunt hit. So I go in, I get the tattoo, lied about my age, $250, and she finishes the tattoo, and she goes, okay, that'll be $375. And I'm like, literally, I just look at her like, I only brought $250. And then her husband, literally, big ass Skip, grabs me by the arm, takes me to his back office, and sits me down and starts writing out this little contract. And I don't know what he's writing. I'm just kind of like, And he turns it, and it pretty much says, if you don't come back within a week, we have permission to pretty much come and take it back off you. So we're gonna come and remove it if you don't come back in a week. And I was like, oh shit! So I signed the form.
We're gonna come.
Yeah, pretty much. You know,
Oh my god!
They said they're gonna come and
fear
pretty
would
much
that instill
carve
in
it
a young
off of
Durb?
me. Yeah.
Like, man, what are they gonna do? Is it gonna be a
So-
blowtorch? Is it gonna be
Yeah.
knives? Like,
Who knows? I didn't find out though.
They're gonna scratch it off.
So there I was, 17, underage, not enough money, and so I had to go back to my dad. I was like, Dad, I need like $150. And he's like, you jackass. So we mailed the check out to them. They got it and stuff. But years later, I went back into that shop after I was, becoming a little bit more known, and I was tattooing. And they actually remembered me when I was a kid. They're like, yeah, we remember you.
No
Yeah,
shit.
and they were cool, because I was, part of the family then. But that was a really crazy moment. I've had some pretty crazy moments getting tattooed. And then there was a guy named Wolfman that we got tattooed by a lot. I think we were like 16 or 17 getting tattooed by him too. And he was like another Hell's Angel, but he had like a little pawn shop up front, where you could bring in items that you found in
the
other
CD
people's.
biker scene. It was either
Is that-
punk or bikers
Yeah.
back then. That's
Yeah.
all you had to be
So it
surrounded
was-
by.
Yeah, and back then there weren't as many tattoo artists, so you would go to these shops and they were just, very few shops back then. So it was more of I'd say it was more intimate. You developed a lot more relationships because the community wasn't as big,
Mm-hmm.
So that all, I don't know. When I first started collecting tattoos, it was exciting because of things like that. That's part of what I loved about it. Was just the characters and the personalities and the rebellious, crowd and things like that. So as a kid, that attracts you. Then you really get into tattooing. Once I started actually tattooing myself, you see all that in a different light. You
Go
see
back to Wolfman.
Oh, Wolfie? Yeah, what do you want to bring about Wolfman?
I don't know. You brought him up and you let him down. You talk about like how he had that pawn shop and would literally tattoo you for like a microwave, a car stereo. Well, it didn't matter. Take him something, he'd tattoo you for it.
Yep. Yeah. So Wolfie, called Wolfie.
Yeah.
He's just this crazy ass biker. His name was Jeff Neese. Really good dude. Treated us kids with extra respect and stuff. I think he liked the fact that we were like crazy kids getting tattooed. So, but yeah, he had a pawn shop up front. You could bring in any kind of stolen items and this and that. He wasn't he was kind of gangster, Hell's Angel, So you would bring him different things, and he would just tattoo whatever you wanted.
What'd you collect from him?
Spider web on my elbow.
Okay.
Some dragons and stuff like that. A lot of my buddies were getting tattooed.
Your spider web you still have too, right? Cool.
Yep.
Have you had that reworked, or is
I
that
had
his
it
original work?
reshaded, Yeah.
Okay.
It was reshaded by Bob Dunn in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay,
When I was,
cool.
19. But yeah, no, these characters I was around are kind of what formed my love for tattooing, because they were strong personalities, and they were different. They were carefree, and they said whatever the fuck they wanted, which is kind of what I liked, from being like in the punk scene and all that shit. Excuse me. But those people are who defined who I am nowadays and how I look at tattooing, and kind of that's why my first shop, Stained Skin, in 1994 was just kind of like a circus. We were just having fun, doing crazy shit, doing badass tattooing, but still with that carefree kind of spirit,
So just to segue off of Stained Skin, you've opened shops, you've managed shops, you've run shops, but you've also taught a lot of people how to tattoo. How many of your apprentices have worked on you?
My apprentices have worked on me.
Yeah.
Not a ton.
I know you've got that piece from Hoffa, which is
Yeah, Hoffa.
super sharp and beautiful.
Kat, Hoffa. God, who else? Not too many, to tell you the truth.
It's got to be super special when you're actually collecting from somebody that you shared all that knowledge with, because
exactly.
it was definitely years later, not
Yeah,
right after
Hoffa.
their apprenticeship, right?
Yeah, I've had 9 apprentices over the years, and Hoffa is definitely one of my favorites. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's a character. He's a funny dude. He was actually my manager for years before he even asked to tattoo.
Nice.
For probably like 3 years, where he go to conventions with me and manage me and stuff like that. And then later on, he's like, "Hey, is that offer still open to learn?" And I was like, "Yes." Because he was like, "Here's the thing: when I teach people, I don't want to teach them art. I want to see that they're already an artist and they're
Yeah.
dedicated." So then I taught him how to tattoo, and he's gone on to do phenomenal, like really cool stuff. So I didn't collect a tattoo from him until
He had made
2
it
years ago.
himself. Yeah.
So, and I love it. It's one of my favorite little jammers on me.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is one thing, like with collecting too. It's nice to collect from friends. It's another way to connect, I think, with other artists.
They're like
yeah.
little talismans that we can
Absolutely.
carry with us,
Yeah.
and you keep that connection with the person that made it.
Yep. And the energy that you give to somebody or receive
Mhm.
is awesome too. So, but yeah. So now I'm running out of room.
Yeah, what do you have left?
You got
I have
space on a butt cheek and armpits.
My stomach.
Yeah, my stomach. I'm trying to keep my old man abs. I still have my left foot open. I have my stomach, my armpits, and then like little butt cheek, little jammers on my butt cheek.
You still got your whole face and head though. What are you gonna do with that?
We'll never tattoo my face.
You will never.
Nope.
What about your head? Shave the side. Oh, the back of your head's already
So I
tattooed.
got my back of my head tattooed when I was 18.
Okay, all right.
From Tim Miller.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You're already in the head tatty gang.
Yeah, so I already got a head. I don't think I tattooed my face. That's just personal preference. I think some artists are fine with it. Some aren't.
It doesn't bother me when people get their faces tattooed now, but I definitely don't ever see myself getting my face tattooed.
Once my entire body's filled, I have no problem tattooing my face. At
Or
that
like
point.
part of it. Like I think the size of the face looks good.
Yeah, sometimes like in that sideburn line. Yeah.
I just feel like in the end, I want to completely lose myself. Like, once I get to that point and I've like completely tattooed myself,
Push
like
the
now it's
threshold.
time, right? Like let's just totally make the transformation, you know. But I do see where like still leaving your face. I mean, it's your face. I mean, that's like the most sacred spot of your entire body.
And
so like
to
it's
each his own,
to
definitely.
each his own the most, you know.
Yeah.
It's you know,
I can
everyone's
see-
got a different way to see it.
That decision of when you do get a full body suit of like, okay, do I keep going? You know,
Yeah.
do I push it to the
And that is
face?
a big decision to make.
Yeah, because you still want to keep collecting.
Right.
You know? Me personally, I'm probably gonna go back and start reworking.
And most people still want to be them, you know. Like you still want to be Durb. You still want to like be who you are
Yeah.
and stuff.
The way I look at the face is that's where you communicate with people. Like I'm tattooed up to my face. My actual face is that's my conversation. That's kind of like the last of me, you know.
I had a dream one time that I got my face tattooed, and in the dream, I look in the mirror, and it's some ridiculous purple stuff that I would never get. And the moment that I knew it was a dream is when I like look over my shoulder to see like who did this to me, and that's when I knew it was a dream. Like I was at the old red tree.
In your dream,
In my dream, I was at the old red tree, and I walked down to the end of the shop where the mirror with the lights was, and I like looked, and I hated it. And I turn and to see who did this to me, and like it clicks in that moment that it's a dream. And it was just like people standing around, but nobody that had actually done it. So like at that point, I knew it was a dream. And I wake up shortly after, and I am like, I will never ever. I could
feeling?
never. Yeah, it was like I had anxiety about it. Even though I knew it was a dream, in the dream, I still had anxiety about it.
I had a
That's so funny.
really rough moment personally with collecting a tattoo. So usually you love getting a new tattoo and this and that, and you love how it looks on you. When I first got my entire throat done, I honestly had a hard moment.
Yeah.
You know, because it drastically, to me, I know everybody loves it. It looks fucking great. I love it now. I don't even see it now. Kind of like all your other tattoos. But when I first got my throat done, one, I had been getting stuff lasered off from when I was a kid. So I got a lot of lasering done, which we'll get into. But when I got my throat done, when I got home and I looked in the mirror, it looked so drastically different.
That it just like hugged your neck.
That I was up to my face pretty much with tattoos. That reality of like, oh shit. And it wasn't the fact that I was tattooed down to my knuckles. I'd already had a pit bull in my throat and the word suffer right across my throat.
But you've basically got a throat sleeve, is what you have now.
So I went with a throat sleeve from Nick Baxter, which I fucking love my throat. But the way that when I got home, the coverage up to my face,
You shocked yourself.
I shocked the shit out of myself for real. And it bothered me probably for like a month until I absorbed into that, became part of the tattoo, essentially. You know, but when a tattoo like that, that's the thing with face tattoos and stuff, I think that it drastically changes how you look. I noticed that people didn't make eye contact. I literally noticed human interaction when I was tattooed up to my face go from like instead of looking me in the eye, they would look down at my throat.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't look at me as much. I noticed that too.
I do notice-
eye contact disappeared.
I do notice
Yeah,
drastic
just people were just
differences.
intimidated in
So
general.
did it cause bad
I'm a big
dreams?
guy. No, it didn't cause bad dreams.
No.
It just caused
A lot of stress.
some wet dreams.
Wrong podcast.
No,
Wrong
I had
podcast.
very similar.
I feel like
Like the first time I got saw my hands in the mirror. the first time I saw my hands, like that weekend that I got them tattooed, I had that similar feeling for a couple of weeks because I walked past a mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm that person now. I have
You're there.
visible. I can no longer cover my tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's
a
probably
long sleeve shirt didn't work. Nothing worked at that point. So
those type of tattoos, your throat, your hands, things like that. I think those are the tattoos that definitely change the way you look. And I think a lot of people probably have that for a moment until you settle into it. You know, it's like putting on a new piece of clothing. Like, all right, you got to wear it in for a moment, and then then it's just part of you.
So one of the things I like is that it's almost like a social experiment for me, because you guys know me, you see me every day, and sometimes like my head is cleanly shaved and you can see my head tattoos, and other times like I've either got a hat on or if my hair is grown out, you can't see them. But I do love just taking note of the manners that people have and the different way people interact. Like, it's one of those things where like I can be the same person, walk into a business one day with a hippie hat on where I just look like regular white girl with a jacket on, and then I'll go in the next day with like a t-shirt and my hair up, head shaved, tatties showing, and it can be the same person waiting on me, but like you did hit the nail on the head. The eye contact totally changes. But on the flip side, I've had some really good experiences, and I'm going to use this story kind of about my mom as an example. But we were at the Melting Pot, and it's a nice restaurant that we like to go to every now and then, but it is a little bit more expensive of a restaurant, so you tend to expect people of a higher class there. So we're sitting there, I think we were just doing dessert, but there was this guy over in the corner, and his party had already left, and he was just sitting there like playing with his phone or whatever, and he was like nicely dressed, and he had a suit on, and it was like a beige suit, like it was nice, and he just kept looking at me, and he and I had made eye contact several times, and I was not put off with him staring at me whatsoever, because like his eyes were kind, he was looking, but like, so my mom notices that he keeps staring at me, and she gets a little heated because he's being rude and staring at us, and I was like, it's okay, Mom, like, when I'm showing off my tattoos, I'm inviting that attention. I'm inviting it. If I didn't want it to be looked at, I could have put my beanie on. And she was like, well, that's true, but he still shouldn't be staring like that. And as he left, and this was maybe 10 minutes later, as he left, he stopped and he like put his hand on the table and leaned into us. And he was like, I've never seen tattoos like yours before, but they're beautiful. So in that moment, I got to have like a, see, Mom, not all of them are staring because of bad reasons. Like and like I said, I had already like made eye contact with him and felt him out, but she didn't see that. So she was upset that he was staring when really he stopped and complimented it. That's a cool thing.
That's one of the things too, like, you can't judge how everybody's going to perceive you,
But sometimes we can be the one, like when we take our time and we collect really nice pieces, we can be the person that changes somebody else's opinion about tattoos. Like we can be the one that says, oh, that's art. That's worth looking at. Yeah.
And good tattoos do that.
I think that's a really cool thing.
Viewing of, what a tattoo can be. Some people don't even know the capabilities artistically of where tattooing is.
I think that's where, like, as heavy collectors, we've got the responsibility to show people what they can collect.
Exactly. So you would only hope that people
like, I can get this. You can get this.
Actually look. Like, please actually look. Like, I do want you to see. Like, don't be someone who's going to grab my arm and start looking at me and tugging around. But, like, I do expect you to look around at, I don't expect you to pretend like I'm not covered in tattoos. You know what I mean? Like, but so there's a level of it where I see it like that. But then there's the other, like, Karen stare where it's like
there's the Karen stare.
Those are typically people that have been coddled or sheltered, that haven't been around any tattooed people, or they're
well, and there's also a difference in the questions too, like, did that hurt? Everybody asks, did that hurt? That's a like, of course it hurt.
Those 3 words. Didn't that hurt?
Absolutely.
Of course it did. But
was it worth it?
It's
Absolutely.
Questions that are like educational, like, hey, where did you get that? Hey, what kind of needle did they use? Hey, did you get that in the United States? Things like that. Like, right.
Yeah, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've smoked 2 blunts, so I feel like we should take a quick stretch, and we'll be right back.
Yep, it's break time. And we're back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with
What up?
Durb Morrison
What's up,
and Tony Terrell.
Yep.
I keep calling him Terrell.
The
but
T-dub.
It's Terrell. But it's
Yeah.
really T-dub.
Just call me T-double if you want to
T-double.
really get my attention.
T-dog.
Right. I got
But
his
I've been
initials
called
tattooed on me right here.
That's right.
We didn't realize that till recently. So one of my tattoos I collected is the True Tubes logo. It's also Tony Terrell or T-Dub.
T-dub.
Well, I had to make him stop signing his for TT for True Tubes because he would just put Durb TT, but then he stopped putting his name and he would just put TT, and I'm like, you have to stop doing that because then people think that I'm writing the email because Tony Terrell.
So that would be if people at Hell City weren't like getting a booth, it would be signed TT, so they would be like, Tony, damn it.
Just unplug those.
Something is.
We're getting a little
there we go.
feedback. There we go. I think
Uh-oh.
we solved the problem.
All right.
Yep.
Are we good now?
Get those fucking headphones out of here.
All right,
Now,
all right, we got
blunt
this.
number 3, right?
Yes, this is blunt number 3.
Blunt
Yep.
number 3.
Blunt number
We
3.
we started this one a little early on break. If you never feel pressured to keep up, but you're always invited. You are definitely always invited to smoke with us or
Well, you did
jump
say
into your edibles.
5 was your record.
Well, we've
Well,
only had one show, so,
so
no,
5
there's
is the
it's not a
record.
race.
Right.
It's not a race. But like when we start getting cotton chops at the end, we've all got coffee, but once we start getting cotton chops and tripping over our words as we do, they'll understand. It's all these guys are baked.
I
It's
would say
cool.
this is the most amount of blunts I've smoked at the earliest moment in a day.
Ever?
We smoked a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
like it.
blunts on our way
Yeah.
kayaking.
Yep. Well, yeah, kayaking.
Nice.
Oh, let's talk about our
really?
kayaking trip.
Right.
How fun is it when we are the most tattooed group on the river?
we float down the
Everybody talks about us. It's so much
tattoos
fun.
and sunblock. No, I like that. I like being part of, like a community of like-minded people that appreciate collecting tattoos. That way, I'm just used to that. Kind of anywhere I've always gone, it's just been like heavily tattooed people to the point where you just never really think anything about it.
Our friends all
You know,
happen to be like connoisseur
different.
art collectors too. So when
Yeah.
we're all standing there in like our swim trunks and bathing suits, like we just look like walking art museums. It's not often that you see a group of tattooed people that are that heavily tattooed and it's all good
I think
work.
It's viewed differently too.
Mhm.
People see it
We
as
always
art.
get nothing but compliments and like
Yeah.
people ask us about it and they're
You
like,
don't
"Oh,
realize
you
dirty
must be
looks anymore. You
tattooers."
actually get, like,
Yeah,
good
once
work,
they
nice
realize it's
tattoos.
bigger and worth looking at and
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So I like that too. I like how
That's a
the
fun-
attitude
it's a fun
towards the collectors have changed. Like back in the day,
Fun
we
trip.
get dirty looks, and nowadays you go and you're more appreciated. People actually, because people see it on television, they see it on their athletes, their favorite athletes. There's
Mhm.
more tattoos on the field than there are jersey numbers nowadays. So people appreciate tattoos more.
Ooh,
They
we
see
should get
that
some
it's done.
athletes in here.
Yeah.
I can do that.
To see
I'll
it,
make
it
some
relates
calls.
to people, all kinds of different cultures and generations
Mhm.
and stuff now. Now tattooing, kids are growing up. Here's a big difference. Kids growing up nowadays just naturally see tattoos. They don't know the days that tattoos were kind of shunned and looked at differently. They literally, tattoos are on actors and athletes and things that are people that, the kids are growing up seeing. So, therefore, it's just part of culture now. It's not, I hate to say it's not as taboo, but it's more of an accepted art form, and I think the next generation is going to grow up and it's never going to be shown again.
Well, and it's people that kids look up to. Not
Mhm.
just you see it everywhere. It's like the people that kids look up to, and parents are like, well, they're not a bad person. It's okay if they have a tattoo. Whereas used to just be pirates and bikers and gangsters and ex-cons and stuff
Right.
that had tattoos.
Yeah.
So they weren't anybody that anybody looked up to except for like your grandpa, who had like my grandpa had like a World War II tattoo. But
Yeah.
I looked up to him, but I didn't look up to his tattoo. I didn't even think about it because
Can you imagine the
Those are
freak
small,
show we
but-
would belong to if we lived in like the early 1900s?
Oh yeah.
We'd be our own
Well, think
freak
about
show.
it, yeah. It was a whole
People
different
would
mentality.
gather to look at us
Yeah.
and pay money to look at us even.
Oh,
Ah,
yeah.
Could you imagine
Yeah, they
somebody
would,
paying
yeah.
money to just look at
Right.
you, like sitting there reading a book?
Right.
Like,
I'll
Just 'cause you're
just
tattooed.
just to look at you. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
stand
tattooed
at a
woman.
gallery.
that's a normal
Just falling in
person,
there,
just
smoking
like
a
us.
blunt.
Is she knitting? What is that?
You're smoking a blunt and knitting?
Yep. Oh man, that would have been
Yeah.
crazy.
Like you said, nowadays people you look up to are tattooed. LeBron James is all tattooed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the top athletes and top people in the world are
Yeah.
tattooed. Your favorite actors are tattooed. They might have makeup over them
Mm-hmm.
or clothing. You might not know they're tattooed, but the next generation is growing up with tattoos and an appreciation for them.
Yeah, it's
Musicians, you see, like Adam Levine has full sleeves, and
Exactly.
he's on like, what, The Voice or whatever. Like, you know, it's everywhere. So
Yeah.
It's super mainstream at this point. I feel like it's, I don't know, it's kind of dinosaur to not be, you know, to not be accepting people
Yeah.
with tattoos.
Yeah. Tattoos are as old as like cave drawings,
Yeah.
almost as old as language and stuff like that. You know. What is
But
it?
all we're doing is changing the color of our skin, and if you're being judgy about it, then you're judging somebody by the color of their skin. That's all we're doing is changing the way we look.
Yeah.
You know?
Thankfully, there's not as much discrimination against tattoos. You know, like
Right.
you can't get a job with tattoos. Oh yeah.
you know how
Now the
many
CEOs
millionaires I know with
that
tattoos.
are covered and you don't even see it.
Yeah.
You know, so that stereotype is finally gone. Do you want to tattoo your face and get a job? That's that's that communication
Right.
area. You know, I was talking about, but tattoos don't affect your life. You know, as much as they used to back in the day, which is nice.
Not your outward experience. Let's talk about how your tattoos maybe affect you spiritually. How have you grown as a person through collecting? Let's talk about that, because like we've already talked about how like rough and tumble you were as a kid, and how it kind of saved you from all the trouble you could have gotten into. But now, being that you personally know all of the best tattoo artists in the world, so like, what motivates you to continue collecting, and how has tattooing changed for you?
Yeah.
Like spiritually, as you've grown older.
Well, tattoos have always been kind of a healing thing too, you know, or a moment in your life that you want to recognize and stuff like that. So, no, it did. It took me away from all the bad stuff growing up. I had a rough childhood. You know, once I found tattooing, it took me away. It took me off the streets and stuff like that, and you know, kind of gave me purpose. It put me around a different group of individuals that were artistic and open-minded, somewhat spiritual. Artists are always kind of spiritual. You know? So no, tattooing saved me. And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, I get back to tattooing every day because it's given me so much. It's taken me away from the bad. It's given me amazing things in life, for real. Like, I never thought, when I first started tattooing as a punk rock kid on all my punk friends, that it would be this crazy journey I've gone on through life. So, you know, no matter how rough you got when you're a kid or whatever, tattooing's, it's taken me from all that. You know, and it's given me everything. Really, it's allowed me to provide for my family. But more or less, it's also changed just the way I think. You know, I'm very open-minded. I spent a lot of time with a lot of different individuals over the last 30 years hearing their stories and their lifestyles, and you try to absorb stuff from people, you know, and typically I'd like to take the good and get rid of the bad. So it's improved my life in every way, you know, and everybody around me too. I feel like it's given me a chance to give other people opportunities and to grow and, you know, provide for my family and friends and all that stuff too.
So last episode, Jordan and I talked about, it just kind of occurred to us while we were talking about it, but we both started our journey of like large tattoo pieces that really like springboarded us into being heavy collectors with Adam France. So that's kind of a cool thing that Jordan and I have in common. And you just recently collected a piece from Adam within the last, year and a half?
Yeah, on the back of my knee.
Yeah, how cool was it for you to finally get a piece from Adam? And it's the back of Durb's knee, but it's actually a pretty big area that he tattooed and kind of transformed.
And
but
he tied in with some dye work.
But since that's somebody that the three of us have in common, Tony, have you been worked on by Adam?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Well, the three of us have that in common. So what do you think it is about Adam that made you want to collect from him? Like, what drew you to him as an artist? I mean, I know you worked together and you loved his work, but like when you're down to such limited space, what is it about Adam that you wanted to give him such special real estate?
Watching him grow over the years. One, being like a like-minded person. Me and him, just the day we met, we're like, "What's up?" You know, smoked a joint out in his van. My Hell City lighter blew up in his face.
Nice.
And we became, you know, fucking.
A Hell
best
City
friends
lighter,
and
just
stuff.
like this one that I keep flicking.
Yeah.
That
exactly.
one, a
Oh,
lighter
oh,
just
cheap
like
one.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you upgraded to the
Yeah.
Bix. Nice. I see you, playa.
So it was a cheap
I
one.
see you,
It was at the
playa.
beginning of the lighter phase. But yeah, so anyways, we smoked and we hung out and just watching him grow. Back then he was doing like monster portraits and he was just kind of like all over the place, but he's really good at everything, you know, any tattoo he's doing. So I had my eye on him, We became friends. He's from Indiana, and then when I opened up Red Tree, you know, I wanted to take him kind of under my wing and bring him in. He's a productive dude. You know, he gets shit done.
Yeah, he's always
on the go.
doing
and
something.
I was like, all right, this is the guy to bring in. You know, so he's the first artist that I hired at Red Tree. You know, it was just me and him in there. But watching Adam grow, I was like, all right, you're gonna focus more on. And I noticed his bio was really strong too. So it's like, good bio around. He's like-minded like that. He liked the bio. You know, there's a mentality to the bio artist, and you know,
Yeah, definitely a little different than your average artist. It's definitely that like subgenre of artist that's
very spiritual.
You
like
know,
we were
Absolutely.
talking about,
tends to be spiritual for sure.
So Adam's energy, you know, I love his energy. I love his creativity, and I wanted to, you know, because when I was tattooing Presley, it's like, okay, I want to do a shop again, but I want to like help the kids grow artistically, and that's each of you when you came in. I go focus on this. I told all you guys that.
Yeah, I remember we had the talk. I was like, I don't
I was
know,
like,
like,
you're gonna focus on
should I
this.
do black and gray or should I do color? Like, I do a lot, and you like without even hesitation, you're like, you're a color artist now. It's like, oh, well,
Yeah,
that
we
made that
focus on
decision
but you
easy.
branched out, but it's allowed you to grow artistically. So watching Adam grow like that with his bio, start freehanding these big badass pieces on, man. It's awesome to watch the artist grow.
I followed him for like probably like 10 years before I even got tattooed by him.
Yeah.
Like I loved his work for a long time,
He's
and then
always
finally made the appointment. And that's actually how I got in contact with Red Tree. Really,
That when he
because I was
there.
going to get tattooed. We were working on my sleeve, and then he ended up doing stuff out of his house or whatever, and then I would end up going there.
Yeah, he
Oh,
always
well.
wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what drew me to him was just like his growth and like the the spiritual side of it, and like I really related to him as an artist and stuff because of everything you just said. Like you just very growth minded, also very spiritual. I just felt like I related to him a lot, but also his art was just fucking amazing. Like it was all the art really that drew me to it, but it was who he is as a person that also like made his art, and what makes a bioorganic artist. So their art so great is because of kind of who they are in life. I feel like those their inspirations, their their drives and stuff in life kind of just comes out in this like tapered fucking energy output that is the bioorganic, or whatever art it is for any artist, but with bioorganic in particular, it's it's like a special kind of spice.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I always liked, and seeing him grow in there in that fashion and drawing these big pieces. The bio artist almost you can feel the energy.
I feel like we need to have our mobile studio ready to go by the time we go see Adam, so we can maybe do a show with him.
We're for sure gonna do that. We need to do
For
that.
sure.
Oh,
That would be
I didn't
awesome.
tell you.
Yeah.
Did,
Space out with Adam.
did Adam tell you? So he's gonna tattoo me one of the days.
Oh, cool.
So
Oh, yeah.
one of the days I'm gonna get tattooed by him out there. But that's another super cool thing about tattooing.
I didn't even
is
realize
get
you had talked
you
about
get to
that yet.
travel and
Get
do
it
awesome
anywhere.
shit. Like
Yeah.
we got this really cool vacation out to Oregon to go see Adam.
hand me my
coming
backpack?
up at the end of this
Yeah,
month.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. But Adam contacted me yesterday and he's like, "Hey man, you guys are coming out. Why don't you get tattooed at the same time?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's perfect."
And
I
we
was
want to
gonna
check out the
contact
shop
you,
that he's working at too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he has like a private thing going on, and he's working at the studio. So
Shit.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
gonna
I'll
be
be
cool.
like, dude, can you take it on the go? Let's just go do it out in the rainforest.
Had to get some more
Right,
blunt
yeah.
wraps.
I brought the battery packs,
Swear
bro.
to God, dude.
Let's go out to the redwoods. Yeah, I'm excited. Adam moved away, 6 months ago, right before the
I don't-
pandemic, or right at the beginning.
Yeah, I guess it has been 6 months already.
So yeah, we missed him. This will be the first time I've seen him.
Yeah.
Since he's moved, so it'll be good. I'm gonna take canvases and paint. What are you gonna do, Fawn?
I'm planning on bringing my little portable oil kit. Maybe we'll actually do some like Alla Prima style landscapey stuff. You know how I like to play with colors. Maybe we could play
Oh,
with
dude, I
chemistry
can
while we're
imagine
out
stuff
there
you
and
wanna
then paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Be like, I'm gonna paint
Yeah, I
that
definitely
rock,
wanna get
but I'm
down with
gonna
some
paint
paint.
it hot pink
Yeah,
with a blue glow.
Right? Yeah.
Wow.
With a radiating electric aura.
Like, it's the same rock. Just get high and look at it. I promise. You'll see it too.
I'm excited. So, and that is one thing I liked about tattooing. Literally, one of the things that I like about tattooing too is that you can travel with it. You can go to conventions. It takes you
I
around the
love
world,
traveling to collect
different
tattoos.
countries.
And the same with-
unfortunately, right now we're in
the
you know,
same
the
with
pandemic,
collecting.
But
The same with collecting tattoos. Just
Yeah.
as much. You do the same. You can do
you
everything
will
an artist
travel the
do. Just
world.
follow an artist, or
collect.
just find who you want and don't. Who cares where they are? Make the goal to get it.
You have to.
Treat yourself. Tattoo. There's nothing more important than you think about what was I gonna say? Sorry, we're a few blunts deep.
What were you gonna say, Tony?
I was going to ask Jordan if he's
Sorry, I
got
was
tattooed
going
Man,
overseas.
we're 4
before.
blunts deep.
So have you been tattooed overseas?
No,
Anywhere?
not yet. But I have a client coming from Britain to
Oh, yeah.
come get tattooed by me. That'll be my first overseas client. But I was just gonna basically just say how cool it is to be able to do that. Who cares where your artist is? Just go
Right.
and
Yeah,
go and
you
find them.
have
If they're
to.
in Russia, make that trip. It might take
Right.
forever to get there, but do it. Make that tattoo important. Make
Yeah.
that idea cool enough.
Save
to
that
make
real estate
journey
for the
worth it.
project.
Yeah, there's a
It-
reason why Philip Blue never had to move. Like, he stayed
Yeah.
where he was, and everybody traveled to see
Stayed
him to
right there
get
in
big
Switzerland.
pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But you will catch them at very few shows.
Yeah.
You know, few and far between.
But so many people go to Switzerland and make it a point to go and get tattooed by him.
part of
he's
it.
one of the best in the world. But
To
if you're
absorb
gonna get
that
tattooed by him-
energy.
Experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Might as well.
such a
Makes the
big part
tattoo
of it.
so much more of a treasure.
Going to the shops and going to the, where the artists are tattooing, or at conventions or anywhere.
And
but
the
going,
people you
collecting.
meet on the journeys, you would have never expected this. When you do these journeys, you meet and experience things you would have never expected. You could have never imagined the things that are going to happen to you when you take these journeys.
Just traveling back and forth to Russ's shop over the last couple of years, collecting my back piece. I have like a whole second tattoo family down there. Like, I feel like any one of them, I could
Good
just,
point,
I can
too.
hit them
Yeah.
up and say, hey, what's up? And it's a genuine, like, friendly,
people.
awesome encounter. And like, also now I've got this whole network of artists I can reach out to when I'm traveling. He's got artists from all over. Killian works with him down there. That's how I've gotten to know Killian. I've gotten to know Kyoki. He's from Hawaii.
If a studio owner, is just a genuine person or whatever I'm trying to say here, they keep good company. So it's like that. You'll go into a shop and there's so many positive personalities that, makes that collection or that studio.
You realize that the passionate artists all,
Feels
like
like
as a collector or as a tattooer,
Yeah.
you feel like the passionate artists all have the same drive and the same like positive life force that they're all just trying to share with you.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing. Like once an artist or a tattooer gets past the point of the hustle and the like getting their feet wet and learning everything, once they have the freedom to just like share themselves with people, it's just amazing to see. It's amazing to see as a collector or a tattooer. But that's one of my favorite things of traveling is just getting to meet those other people and just extending my spiritual family,
Exactly. Conventions are good for that.
Mm-hmm. Conventions turn into like family reunions, man. When we all come together, that's like my motivation. I used to go
That's
to
my
conventions
favorite
to
part of it.
learn.
Conventions are so
Now
much
it's like
fun.
family reunion. I know I'm gonna see all these people that I only see a couple times
It's
a
like
year.
You get everything in traveling to your one artist or whatever in one kind of family vibe. Conventions are very family, tattoo family vibe. There's nothing like that.
Have you been worked on at conventions?
Yeah, I've been tattooed by Russ actually at a convention.
Oh, I remember. That's where I brought you the
Yeah,
bottled
okay.
back teen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Everybody was
on
sold
1
out.
hour
I
sleep.
swooped in. I
All
swooped in. I
partied
hit
out.
the
We were in
CVS.
Detroit. Yeah, 1
Yeah.
hour sleep. Get tattooed with shades on.
It's always exhausting in Detroit because we all just like stay up
Such a
and
good show.
socialize all
Yeah.
night. Like I'm not even gonna say we party hard or
No,
anything,
it's
but
just
like we
us
stay
talking.
up late, just being social
Exactly,
and
yep.
that
Little bit of drinking,
reunion feel.
That's what it is a reunion, the tattoo
Yeah.
family.
Well, and that convention's always the first of the year, so you get to see everybody you didn't see all winter, and
Yep.
everybody's been cooped up. And,
Right, yeah.
you get up to Detroit and everybody sees each other, and you stay up all night talking, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you don't party hard, but you stay up late and you smoke and you
You
drink
get
and
exhausted,
next thing
even
know,
if
it's
you are
4 in the
being
morning, 5 in the
responsible.
You can party hard.
Right.
I don't advise it. Don't advise it. It's fun and you have the opportunity. It's always there as a client or as the tattooer. But if you're getting tattooed, you have a full day probably of tattooing to
Dude,
get.
I
Don't
learned
get
my
super
lesson.
drunk the night
Yeah.
before. And as the artist, don't get super fucked up the night before and then have to tattoo someone all day, because we've all been there.
Yeah. Luckily, Russ was wide awake. I was not.
Yeah.
Russ is
I've been
so
there many
like
times and I
business
just
all
can't
the
even-
time.
Oh, dude, I love that dude.
Oh, he's awesome. I'm so fortunate to have gotten to know him.
Well, so that the tattoo I was getting from Russ was actually part of some of the laser removal I've gotten done, and I removed like an old Exorcist portrait that I got. So I got rid of a lot of like old, like that was like the scariest movie as a kid. So I tattooed the Exorcist when I was 17.
Oh, you were that young when you
18,
got it?
Actually, by Brian Everett.
Brian Everett, yep.
Yeah, and I loved it for a long, long time. But then when I started looking at my collection, And the route I was going, some of the bio stuff and more positive vibes and stuff, I got rid of old tattoos. But while Russ was covering it up in Detroit, dude, Brian popped around the corner, just like
Arms
he
crossed.
He knew I was getting covered.
You felt like you were getting stared at by those Hell's
Brian,
Angels
Brian,
again, didn't you?
But he just was just shaking his head like, damn it. But just giving me shit. He knew I was getting it covered up. But no, that was a fun session. I like getting tattooed at a convention because everybody pops by. So it kind of distracts you, and I don't know. It's just cool seeing the interactions with Russ and other people, and all three of us. So
I think that's actually on one of your breaks is when you introduced me to Russ.
Oh yeah, when I was getting
Yeah, I
tattooed
believe
by
so.
Brad.
Yeah, I believe it was that. It
went
might
on to
have been the year before, but I think it was on one of your breaks that you introduced us.
Who would have thought that would change your whole body?
Oh man.
Because you got your whole back done.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh
that,
man.
see, it's
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that's so awesome. And, those
It's full
little
circle
interactions
like
that
that.
you would have never really
Yeah.
expected.
One of
but,
these
like,
days, I feel like-
opportunities arise, from meeting
Very
cool
true.
people, but from putting yourself out there, with like-minded people,
Yeah.
and making making connections and communicating. Things you could have never imagined
Yeah.
can happen. Like I just scheduled my back piece with Guy just a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
because Fawn's like just out the blue. Hey, you want to come with me to Guy's place while I get tattooed for 2 days? Oh yeah, I guess.
I'll see if I can make time.
I'll see if I can make time for it, but on the inside I'm like, oh my fucking
But if you
god,
think about it, that
that's
trip
so dope.
Just changed your life because now the wheel's in motion to get your back
Yeah,
done.
and the journey I'm about to embark on that's gonna be
Oh, yeah.
exactly what I'm saying now.
I mean,
More than what I can
amazing.
imagine it to be now. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be way more painful than I probably can imagine too.
Somehow you get through it, though.
It's gonna be a spiritual journey, and I jump into these things with the intention of it being that, and so it always ends up being that, and shown more things than again what I can even think of right
Yeah.
now. So in the end, it'll be just what I needed and more than what I could have imagined.
Getting back piece is a journey.
I feel like we could probably do an episode just on back pieces because I could talk all day about like the process that Russ and I went through to come to the design for my back piece, and as it turned out, it was super serendipitous, just because everything lined up just right. But up until like the night before my tattoo, he was like still sketchy, like he wasn't even sure we were on the same page. Like he was like I had already driven to Georgia and he wasn't even committed to starting it because he felt like we were so far apart on ideas. But like the very first sketch he sent me, I was like, perfect, absolutely. Influenced by, but not an exact replica. This is exactly like yes. But I'll talk in detail about that later on. But I feel like we could talk just about back pieces.
Yeah. About the journey of
Absolutely. There are so many things that you experience that you don't expect to. And mine comes all the way down to the bottom of my butt cheeks, which is an endeavor. Like I took for granted how serious of a commitment it was going to be. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was going to be rough, but I'd already had so much of my torso tattooed. I was humbled. I was humbled every session with Russ. I was humbled.
Sit your ass down.
And we did a lot of 2-day sessions. Have you done any 2-day back-to-back sessions?
Yeah, on my ribs with Guy. Got that on my leg too from Guy.
Oh,
I
talk
think
about what
only
most of
Guy,
your
though.
collection is. You've got a
Well-
lot of like outer space.
Yeah, a lot of it's like kind of sci-fi, some spiritual type stuff. I have a lotus on my hand with a monopod dome written over it, and then rough stuff. So I still got rough, skulls and stuff like that. But yeah, my collection originally started, younger, so I had a lot of lettering and just old, exorcist portraits and stuff like that. That had the word "suffer" written on my throat, and the pit bull on my throat. But I got a lot of laser removal done actually, over the years, and then got a lot of cover-up work done.
Do you think it's fair to say you've gotten more laser removal than anybody on the planet?
Pretty much, yep. I would say I've had more laser. I've had both half sleeves removed, my chest, my leg, my throat, the back of my neck, my upper shoulders. So yeah, I've had a ton of tattoo removal done and got it all covered up, which is really, really nice. So I've had the opportunity to collect from like Dave Tevenall, Russ Abbott, Guy Aitchison has done my ribs and my leg.
Show us that Dave and Russ piece again.
The Dave piece is right here.
Awesome.
Here.
Show us the Russ one we were talking about.
The Russ one's right there.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah. I got Atomizer, Sailor Moses, R.I.P., Dean DeKine, Dave Nicolai, R.I.P. Dave, Joe Capobianco,
Nice.
Casey Corklick did my knuckles, Wolfman originally, laying that out. Tim Miller recolored it. Wolfman, Tim Miller. This is from Bunny Don't Instagram. This is all like Japanese influence stuff.
Wow.
Got my other ribs done from Atomizer. This is originally Gaitis in Flash.
And then let's see your back. Can we see a little peek of your back?
This is Timothy Hoyer.
Oh man, I wish we could be
It's
showing
all
you guys this
sci-fi.
right now.
All right, let me see that guy rib again.
Mhm.
So the outer space just
Yeah.
kind of continues on him.
Yeah.
Damn,
this one goes down
look at
yep.
that side piece.
This is all guy here, from here down. This goes on my foot.
Whole lower leg sleeve.
Yep.
Brutal.
That goes down to there. This is all Gunner. So the big Buddha's Gunner, Foo Dog.
Valuable skin.
This is Adam France.
That's the piece we were
God.
talking about earlier by
And
Adam.
This is Adam. Below
Show
there's-
us the tie one you've got in progress
Timothy.
on your other knee.
This is Timothy Hoyer. It's the first piece I got from Timothy.
Matches your back.
Yep. And then, which piece you talking about?
The one on the back of your knee from Ty.
Oh yeah. So we started this right before the pandemic hit.
Yep. And then right next to Adam's knee, they look gross and beautiful together. That's the Hoffa piece we were talking about.
Yep.
And then look at this one. This is from the legendary.
Marty Holcomb.
Yes.
This is Hoffa, Joey Knuckles, Nate Marty, Wes Carter, Billy, Dave Ski. I got this one in Greece. This is Oliver Peck. I got this in Greece from Cervena. Gaitis kneecap piece.
This is a
Beat up
monster
from
collection.
Yeah. Tim Miller, James Kern.
I didn't realize you collected from James Kern.
Yeah.
I'd love to collect a piece
Famous
from
Louis
him.
Craig, Cat Moya, Dave Tinsley, Sleepy Dave, Dean DeKine did the screw.
This is also kind of a history lesson. If you guys want to write these names
Miller.
down
This is
and
Gaitis in Flash.
do a little bit of homework and check all of these artists out. They are all amazing and worth collecting from.
Oh fuck yeah, every single one of them.
Chris Smith did that one.
Who did your neck?
My neck is Nick Baxter.
And then what have you got on your chest?
1 second.
Sorry.
Jeff Ensminger did that. This is Jeff Ensminger. This was lasered off too. I had the bulldog here.
Okay.
That was Jeff Ensminger. Greg D. did that. That's the time my son was born. And then Baxter did my whole throat.
And everything's connected and tied in. No random gaps in between things. I think that's really nice to consider how one tattoo is going to flow into the next. And you can tell after you've gotten things lasered off, you've really taken that into consideration. Like they all tie
This
into
is,
the same story.
Mike Rowe, by the way. Sorry, guys. Mike
Oh, there we
Rowe.
go. I was talking over you when you were
No, it's all good.
going through that area.
We'll do our best to get this video. Fawn's taking a video here of everything, of all of his body, so.
I'll share this.
We'll
I'll
try to-
probably share this on our page, so you'll be able to access it. I'll probably make it a permanent post on our page, so you can scroll through that whole little video.
It's quite the collection.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Who did the back of your head?
Back of my head was Tim Miller.
Okay.
But it was a drawing that I gave him, so that's when I was kind of like designing my own tattoos. Now I like to have other artists, I don't think I'd ever design my own tattoo again, because just knowing you're collecting now from the artist. Back then it was like, I'll draw my own flash design and get it tattooed on me. But it's much different nowadays.
I like being worked on by people that I look up to and want to learn from. Like that's one of the things. Like I've got this bucket list of artists that I always wanted the experience to learn from, and I've been lucky enough that those opportunities have presented themselves. Like bam, 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 one after the next.
Yeah.
Like once I started my collection with Adam, it's like they all took me seriously enough to
more-
realize that I was committed.
You're a true collector. Yeah, when you see somebody that has nothing but awesome work from amazing artists, and you want to get up on there, you want to put something on their gallery wall.
Yeah.
I always thought that was weird when somebody said that, hey, this artist wants to work on me when they don't have any tattoos. I'm like, why does that artist want to work on you? You don't have any other good tattoos. Like, why would they want to put, if they're an apprentice maybe, but
Right.
Some somebody with a strong
But
complexion.
Guy Aitchison, you have no tattoos. Guy Aitchison doesn't want to tattoo you. You don't have anything. Unless he wants a big blank canvas, but, like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it would be hard as an artist to commit to a huge project on somebody that doesn't have at least a little bit of a work.
Doesn't know the journey.
However, if we look at artists like Jeff Gogway, who's doing full body suits,
True.
you know,
Yeah.
I would love. I would be incredibly skeptic if somebody came to me tomorrow and was like, Fawn, I want to start a full body suit. I would be incredibly skeptic. But that's something that I'm waiting for. And I want to plan a bodysuit from beginning to end. Like, we don't need to commit to it all at once. We can go piece by piece. But I would love to actually commit so everything's planned. And
By the time you see Gogway starting those projects, there's been so much like back research and work, sitting with the client, probably making them aware, like, hey, if
Yep.
we're going to start this, like, you need to be committed.
have you've seen his movie Surrender, right?
Yeah.
It's like an hour long. It's on YouTube. If I believe it's called Surrender. Is that right?
I love Jeff.
I like
That's
that.
where
I
see
like
this
that
look.
he started this film, and it was supposed to be like his journey through collecting his back piece and what it was like, but it turned into more of like the spiritual journey of going to Japan and like learning
He spent
from
a
these
lot of time over
artists
there.
he looked up to, and he really touched on how it affected him and changed him spiritually. And I think they have really thoughtful commentary from his collectors on there, and
He's very
they kind of share their growth and you know how they feel like, you know, they've maybe become more patient as a person or grown as a person.
Definitely.
I just think he does a lot of times if I have a client who's really struggling with a session, I'll put that on because I like to let them know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And like I've been through it, and like when I
that's a
use
good
those
point,
words like I know what you're going through, homie. I know this sucks, but cruel to be kind. I got to get it done and get it over with.
These other people going through the
So
same
so
thing.
sometimes when somebody's really struggling, I like to put that video on just so they don't feel defeated, just so they know that that's what they've got to go through and that's what they've committed to. And I just think that's a really well put together, I'm going to call it a
That's
documentary on his journey. And it wasn't just collecting the art like he thought it would be. It turned into collecting a transformation. You know, he talks about how he feels like a different person afterwards. And I only traveled to Georgia for my back piece, but I feel like after enduring everything that I did on that and my chest piece also, I feel like I probably had more spiritual growth in those hours in the chair than I've had the years before that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's I think that's how Jeff is probably getting a lot of his clients to get through this large work. That's inspiring. When you know somebody like that, you know, I'm sure that Jeff's real soothing, anyways. You know, if you've been around him, just real soft spoken.
Yeah, I haven't actually hung out with
Super
Jeff
nice guy.
yet.
I spent a lot of time, even in Ireland. We got to hang out for, you know, we were over there teaching seminars and things. Just a really good dude, real mellow. Every word counts. You know, means something. You know, so the way that Jeff is, the way you are with your clients, helps get through those big sessions like that, or you know, soothe them.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm sure taking on those big projects, he's a lot. That part of him helps his client get through that.
You become so close when you've got somebody that's like both putting you through the worst pain of your entire life, but also like treating you with the extreme kindness at the same time, like being as gentle as humanly possible, but like still getting it done.
And I think being a heavily tattoo artist, you know those painful spots. You can sympathize because you've been there. You know, so Jeff has a lot of tattoos as well. So when you've endured all that, it's different. You have that different connection, a different sympathy. You know?
Yeah.
That's why I use the hell out of some back team.
Yeah, I think for that reason alone, collecting tattoos has made me a better tattooer, just because I can understand. Like, I know what I'm doing to my clients every moment, from like the first 10 minutes in just about any area of the body to the last hour of an 8-hour stretch. Like, I know what they both feel like, and I know it blows, but we're in it together, you know, and that's true and honest for me. I might have taken it for granted before I took on some of these bigger projects, like what I was really doing to people, and then
Tattooed a lot though, you know, a lot of painful spots.
oh man,
So you know the whole leg,
the whole leg.
back, you know the
Yeah.
the painful shit.
I I had somebody that was, she had one little tattoo, but I had somebody in my chair yesterday that was collecting like her first like large piece, and I was like, I'm not giving you a pep talk or anything because this is an easy spot, and it was like on her outer upper arm, so not even like a full half sleeve, but just a piece in the middle of her outer upper like shoulder arm area. And like you could just see the relief in her face, like this is going to be one of the easiest spots on the body, so you're not getting a pep talk because I don't think you need one. You're tough. So like so she just like instantly was relieved, and you know we had to take a few breaks anyways, but
Take her guard down.
yeah, but I always tell my clients, like, if I'm not giving you a pep talk or preparing you, it's not going to be that rough of a day. Like if I'm telling you the spots that are going to suck,
yeah, that's a good point.
helping mentally
Like, all right,
prepare
you
you
ready?
for what we're getting into, making sure you ate. Should we Uber Eats first? Should I go get you some water? Like I want to prepare for those rough, tough spots. But before collecting tattoos in those areas, I wouldn't know. Like I wouldn't know how much worse the chest gets than the ribs. I would have thought the ribs were as bad as it gets. I was wrong.
Nope.
I was wrong. I've been humbled.
Kneecaps.
Kneecaps are horrible. What would have been the feet were your worst?
My feet were by far the worst. I think Durb tattooed one of my feet, and every time he turned to dip, I sprayed my foot with Bactina. Like literally for like 4 hours. Every time he turned to dip his machine into the ink, I sprayed my foot. But it's as a heavily tattooed collector that's not an artist, I can tell you that I can appreciate artists that are heavily tattooed because they understand a lot more, those painful spots. So,
True.
Durb understood that my foot hurt and it sucked, and that's why he didn't care that I was spraying my foot with Bactine. My friend John, who did my other foot, he gets tattooed by Gogway a lot and hangs out with Jeff a lot. He understood, and he was like, use as much Bactine as you need. I understand. Feet suck, So, whereas when I got my hands tattooed, those guys, they didn't care.
That was a gnarly weekend for you.
Yeah.
You did both hands in one weekend?
I got both hands at the same time.
Oh, brutal.
Ours
Brave
on his
man.
hand at one
Who do we
time.
have on your hands, Tony?
Nathan Casteco and Carson Hill did my hands.
Oh, man.
And when they were both, because they were both using Carson's old Numa setup, and they were both using the exact same setup, so they could use the same needle, same setup. The agreement was, anytime I said switch, they had to switch.
Okay.
But when one of them would stop to get ink, and the other one was still tattooing, I would feel it, like it would hurt. But when they were both in my hands at the same time, it was like almost like.
That's a funny thing. I say all the time that I feel like it's not necessarily worse to be tattooed by two artists at the same time. Like you're gonna feel it. The heel is gonna be two artists, but I feel like on my chest when Adam France and Ty McEwen were working on me, it's like they would get in a rhythm where one would be working while the other was like wiping and changing colors and dipping, and then he would be working while the other was doing that. So it was like just a constant almost pressure rather than that like specific burning tattoo pain. And I didn't have a choice other than to just like breathe through it and like accept it because I volunteered for this. So I just laid there like a corpse. Like it was awful, but at the same time it was almost easier to deal with two artists at the same time. Yeah, it was just like a steady, once they got in their rhythm and we started a intuitive artist is going to work with how you're breathing and things like that. So once the three of us kind of got in that rhythm, it was like almost better, and it was almost relieving that I was getting more done at the same time,
because you can get a lot more done.
However, there were spots like the lower part of my sternum where I could not handle both of them working at the same time. But the way it would work is like one would be in my clavicle armpit area and the other would be in like lower breast meaty chest areas, and then they'd like change where they were. So it was like a constant pressure on me the whole time, but it was almost like soothing and calming because there weren't those breaks.
Working together.
Yeah, Ty and Adam have done so many projects together. I think they've just got a awesome chemistry as artists, but I think they work in a almost like musicians together.
Guy works with so many other artists, and he's able to work with all, like almost seamlessly work with anybody out there. A lot of times it's just like, you know, a few artists have to match, but guys seems to be able to flow.
And it's
So
always
adaptable.
it's
So
always a
adaptable.
melt of the
Yeah,
two
adaptable.
artist
And that's
styles
what it's
too.
like with biomech too. You know, most biomech artists are just super adaptable too. So you take two super adaptable people and you just get these collabs.
Yeah.
They just pass them back and forth and it becomes so amazing.
Well, I
And
think
it's so
Guy
much
is
fun. It's
so.
such a magical thing.
I think Guy's able to do that with so many people because there are so many people that have been influenced by him
You're
and
right.
tattoo.
Godfather.
Not necessarily like him, but in his style or his like techniques. Because I mean, he wrote books that people have been using for 25
He
years.
wrote
So
the biomech Bibles.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking for quite a while, so let's take a break, and then after that, when we come back, speaking of Godfathers, let's just kind of delve into Guy and Marty. Let's just talk about
Yes.
those two, because like what they have in common is they're like the masters of painting on the skin. No matter what it is,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to approach it like a fine oil painter, and you see it in both of their work. And
I could feel
I-
it when he was tattooing me.
yeah, I think we could
The
I think
hand
The
movement,
Godfathers of the
brush
painter.
use.
yeah,
style.
I think we could
Yeah.
talk about just those two for a while. So,
Yeah, because we've collected for both of them.
yeah,
Mhm.
yep, just recently.
So
And I
yeah,
haven't
we'll take
collected from either of them.
But you want to, right? You're gonna get a Marty piece someday,
I'll get
right?
I'll get a Marty Hogan piece.
Yeah, I'm
don't have
definitely
enough
kicking
room for a
around
guy.
what I want to get from Marty.
Nice.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna have a sunset
I
in
will
it
never
though.
get anything on the
Good
Moneymaker.
And we're back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. So, Fawn, Guy Atchison.
Yes.
Why do you like him? What
Don't
is it
put an
about
N
him
in
that you like?
So one of the things that I love about Guy is the whole time I've been tattooing, the things that I chase in my own work are the same things that I chase in my paintings. And I think Guy does a perfect job bridging the gap of like turning a tattoo into a painting. Like he even approaches it, you know, in layers. Like here's our underpainting and here's our foundation layer and then here's our finishing touches. And to see somebody working as I've been self-taught, you know, the majority of my whole career, seeing somebody that worked in the same way that like my brain functioned and the way that I just naturally approach my own art processes, it just made it free for me as an artist to just explore those things. So I've always watched Guy and what he was doing, but he was one of those, like, you know, he was up there in the realm of tattooers that, you know, 10 years ago I would have thought were impossible to get tattooed by. So like I always had this bucket list, like if I could get worked on by anybody, it would be Guy, Russ, Ty, and then like once I started collecting with Adam, it just opened those possibilities. You know, I met Ty directly through Adam. Yeah. Yep, it's amazing how it just serendipitously like falls into your lap once you like mentally and spiritually commit to it. Like the opportunities then present themselves. So 10 years ago, I never would have even known that I would have like all of these artists who I've always admired. I've got their personal phone numbers. Like if I have a question, I can be like, "Hey Guy, would you look at this drawing when you get a chance and get back to me?" Like it's cool to just be able to like have those connections.
Guy's very responsive too.
Oh, absolutely.
He's always
Absolutely.
He's there to educate people and make them better.
Yeah.
So he's very responsive in all those ways.
Yeah, I just thought it, you know, as early on in my collecting, I thought it was unattainable to be worked on by an artist like Guy. But as it turns out, it just took patience.
Yeah.
So, what is it about his, you know, tattoo style that you like? We talk about the painterly style.
So one of the things that I love about organic art in general is how everything just looks like it's growing, like a daydream, whether it's a small space or a giant space. It just looks like a daydream that you're traveling through. And I also like the idea of like taking a full body part and transforming it into something else. You know, whether you're telling a story with that transformation or whether you're just transforming it into like different materials and different structures. But either way, it's like a daydream to me. Like you have to be somebody that just kind of like lollygags in the make-believe realm to even yeah.
Right,
So
it's like fantasy
so
almost.
so I can't really like put my finger on it, but a lot of the artists that like I am attracted to are just artists that I think daydream in similar realms to me. Like, I feel like I'm on a similar imagination
Visionaries.
wavelength. Yeah. The visionary wavelengths are similar to the artists that I look up to and admire.
Just
Like,
pouring it out in a different way.
yeah. So I feel like, you know, the things they do are things that I want to achieve, but also things that I want to collect and wear and show people and,
Right.
you know, be like,
Right.
did you know this is possible? And like,
right.
you can do this. You can
It's
you
real.
can have
It's
this.
art, but it looks
Yeah,
real.
could like.
Another
So this
dimension.
wizard built this thing
Right.
for me.
Right.
This
As an
wizard
artist, it's just
built
like,
this.
Totally, it's wizardry, you know, the ability to just make something look like you can just throw a fucking penny down it, and like you can just jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, the use of light, the use of shadow.
But you
stuff,
believe
though,
it
like,
when
the
when
tattoo
when
is
he
it's a
builds something, you
transformation.
believe
It's
it.
not
It's
just
always
a-
tactile. It's always like
Yep.
it's always like a real space, whether it's a microscopic space or a big space. It's
Right.
always like a
It's
space
they're
that you want to
portals.
like
They're
investigate
little
further.
portals, like,
Yeah.
really,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a total transformation in your
It's
body
other
and a little
dimensional, the things that
portal
they create.
into.
Absolutely.
You can't understand, you know, like how they come up with those visions. Like you said, the visionary side of it is like, how do you come up with those images?
Mhm.
What's in your head? What did you see down the
Yeah.
wormhole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it,
that's what I love about being an artist.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, jumping down that wormhole.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to that. And there's a lot to be said about that.
Since the day I got into tattooing and started working at Tim's Tattoo Studio, where there was the Fit Buchanan, Fip and Kelly, and there was Geitchison and Eddie Deutsch flash all over the walls, and that's what influenced me. That's when I was getting a lot of the guy flash on me. Back in the day, I had so much Geitchison flash on me. You know, my ribs.
didn't Guy actually call you out and be like,
Yeah,
"Hey,
he's like, "No,
I
I'm gonna work on you."
yeah, I
Yeah.
drew that."
He's just like,
Right,
wow.
right.
Yeah, quite a bit of my work on him. Because I've been influenced by Guy the whole time because of that. He's creating different images that
Right.
look different than any of the other flash on the walls.
And he was still such a badass artist.
Back then it
doing-
was real just like
still doing
crazy
that
shit.
stuff though, like, you know, doing the Flash and all the other stuff. Like, he was a badass
Yeah.
then. Like,
that
so
guy
like,
Eddie Deutsch flash set was like some of my favorites back then. You know, so I don't know. Yeah, getting into it, Guy was so inspirational because he was doing different shit. The tattoos on that he was doing on people's skin were different. And then to see where he's grown into, and he's created a whole different look that now has just he's the Guy father. You know, he's the one that's invented that new style. You know, of influences he's taken and gone off in his own direction. It's created a whole new subculture. You know,
Yeah.
it's the renaissance for the bio artists right now because of Guy. You know,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
he's made such a great resource. I've done his reinventing the tattoo and went through that, and the where it took the things I already knew, like, so it just solidified things I already thought were right. Like, as an artist, so like this is going off the whole collector's things, but as an artist, the reinventing the tattoo is absolutely
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Big time.
Not so much for the collector is useful, but if
a lot of
you
people learn to tattoo
if you
because-
want to learn how to make amazing art, reinventing the tattoo. Oh
because
my
it was a different
goodness.
way of thinking. When Guy came out with all that, like he was coming out with the cover-ups and special effects booklets and little books and stuff. When he came out with that, it was just
Knowledge.
Right.
yeah, so much knowledge.
Knowledge.
A whole different
And it is.
approach to
It's
tattooing,
advanced.
with ethics, with everything. It was a lot of things you didn't see in any other books.
I do have an art school background. I don't have my degree, but I do have some art school in my past. And one of the things, like the first time that I picked up Reinventing the Tattoo and I flipped through it, it was just like, he just gave me permission to paint on the skin. He just gave me permission to do exactly what my gut has been
exactly.
telling me to do. So, like, I honestly, like, I've only leafed through it a few times because, like, as soon as that clicked with me, it's like, I'm going to trust my intuition and I'm just going to keep pushing painting further. And, you know, I do really crazy things with colors and I deliberately break rules, but at the same time, I make things as believable as possible.
you
Like,
go
it may
rules
not
first.
be, like, believable in our reality, but I want you to believe it exists. So,
Right.
so I do some crazy things with color. So I didn't want to kind of contaminate my own process that I was just learning. But there is not a single thing in that whole book that I would ever discourage or disagree with. Like, that
Yeah.
is just an absolute,
Oh, that's a
that,
gem.
like,
It
all,
is a
all
gem.
the things that I paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn in art school, he gave us in a book
Oh, yeah,
and
right.
now an online
man, I wish I
resource
would've
for
had
like
that.
pennies.
When I first
pennies on the
started
dollar.
tattooing, oh my god, as a
Yeah.
resource,
Yeah.
Some of the best
man.
books.
Yeah.
By far.
I had
by
some
far.
amazing painting and drawing
now he has
instructors, and
the
that
app,
book is equally as
right?
good as both.
I don't care what
He
you
has a
think about
reinventing
tattoo
app now, too.
education,
Yep.
but it's an
It's
amazing
super
resource.
interactive, always adding new
He's an
material.
excellent-
So,
And that book, I mean, that book is what made people that didn't tattoo want to collect from him, because that book almost is what put him on the map to the general public who was getting tattooed, but just flipped through a magazine and maybe saw his name. But when Reinventing the Tattoo came out, like, his name was everywhere. In every art school, people were talking about him. Like, people were teaching classes about the stuff he was talking about.
mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
Not only is he like the most inspirational, one of the best tattoo artists to ever live, in my opinion, he's also one of the most educational artists.
Oh yeah, he lives to share it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pass
That's a
on
great
knowledge.
thing about Guy. Great energy. Great energy.
Absolutely.
So a few minutes ago, you said something about something that we don't see a lot of today, Flash. So I feel
Yeah.
like going back to talking about Guy's Flash, that could be a really good segue into Marty.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
Oh,
Flash
yeah,
for
yeah.
a minute.
So when I came, so I grew up in Newark, started tattooing in Newark and all that, and then I moved to Columbus, and at that time, and still, in my opinion, Marty Holcomb was the man. Artistically, you'd seen his work; it was different, painterly. It was unlike any other tattoos you'd seen before. Like literally big brush strokes, things that people are trying to achieve now with rotaries. Marty was doing kind of back then with
Yeah.
very long whips and stuff like that, So, but because it was so painterly is what stands apart. Just like Guy, his work's so painterly and different that he stands apart. Marty Holcomb's always stood apart. So when I came to Columbus, Marty was the man. Luckily, I just finally collected my first tattoo from Marty, which was awesome. I finally got a dragon from Marty. But looking back, he was always one of the artists that was responsible for real painterly, brushy tattoos, back then. So, and everybody's kind of doing more traditional work and stuff. And I'd say Marty changed the look of tattoos, as far as being very painterly. Stefan Shadowsakes overseas was also like that. So,
yeah.
but as far as the early influences, how like Guy's very influential for bio artists in that realm, Marty is known for like painterly tattooing. So
It's funny, coming up in tattooing, like I mentioned before, being self-taught, there are a lot of things that I missed. And one of the biggest things that I missed is A, machine building, and B, history. There's so much history that I missed. So even coming up in Columbus, I saw Marty's work all the time, and I took for granted that it was special. I just thought it was like, oh, that's the kind of tattoo that looks like a painting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, he was the only
Way
one
different.
doing it.
Yeah.
But again, like
1972.
seeing that work gave me permission to work like that. So I never felt restricted to, like, I know a lot of new young tattooers will limit themselves to only traditional work. And I think that's a huge mistake, I feel like so early on I saw these painterly tattoos, and it just gave me permission to do it.
Right.
Do it that way.
Just as an artist, the way it feels to be making things outside of just the realm. Like, I know it probably feels great to make some flash tattoos and some flash, little painted pieces, but the way it feels to push yourself outside that realm and really find out what you're capable of like really figuring out, the way light really hits objects and,
Yeah.
all these different things of art and stuff. If you just stick to like a simple way of doing things, not saying traditional is simple by any means, but if you just stick to one way of doing things, you're not seeing the other realm of
Yeah.
it. If you just stick to that, I mean, I'm not hating
You gotta
on
break
it
the
at all.
rules
I mean,
to
we all
discover new things.
find our styles we like and we hang out in that area. You know what I mean? But at the same time, don't be afraid to go outside that realm and go paint a landscape. If you're only say I'm only doing bioorganic tattoos or something, I
Go
still
break the
like
mold.
Yeah,
I still like
don't
doing-
limit yourself.
I still like doing landscapes. I still like doing stuff that you just wouldn't.
Yeah.
All sorts of other things.
So, a couple weeks ago, well, maybe it's been more than a couple weeks, but you got the leg piece that you just got from Marty started. And I remember when he came in, he showed you all those drawings that he had. And then from there, he started talking about all the flash that he had drawn. Do you know how many people around the world are walking around with Marty Holcomb
Yeah,
work
he's
in their
seen-
collection?
He's done over
Thousands?
5,000 sheets of flash throughout his career.
Isn't that crazy?
Documented sheets of
Five.
flash.
Not
Five.
drawing sheets of
Yeah,
flash.
he still has a lot of his house, stacks of
Yeah.
flash.
That's
the
tens of
productivity
thousands.
of Marty is insane.
He was like the first guy to draw a flash with like fairies that had like colorful backgrounds
very
and like
colorful
whimsical
stuff.
like
Fantasy.
like
on the
fantasy
go.
backgrounds. Like if you saw a unicorn or a dragon and it actually like
Exactly.
looked like a real piece of art. If you saw that on a flashboard anywhere anytime, even now,
Different.
it's probably
Because it was
Marty's.
painterly
It's probably one of his
And you look at it
drawings.
and you're like, I can do that until you actually try to do it.
Right.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
We get the tattoo
But
next
yeah,
to him every day.
Marty's done so
Amazing.
much work, and even the original paintings that he has at the studio, the amount of paintings he's done. He's got the book out, Symphony.
Mm-hmm.
He's done so much work. The productivity of Marty, and he's there still tattooing pretty much every night.
I want to collect a piece from him. I haven't yet. How long did you wait to collect a piece from Marty?
Forever, because I've been running out of room. I didn't really have an opportunity. We had tried for years to make it work. As a matter of fact, that's when he came to work for us. Is when the building that his old studio was just getting sold.
Mm-hmm.
The owners had passed away and stuff. So when we brought him in, that gave me an opportunity to finally be like, all right, that's truly, I want to get a piece from you now. So. But yeah,
Somebody didn't silence their phone, Jordan. That was Jordan's phone.
So
Everybody.
no, I am stoked to be tattooed by Marty. And like I said, his hand felt different. It felt like a painter that was tattooing me. Very brushy.
I can't
very
wait to
light
collect
and
from him.
Fluffy, Guy's the same way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very light, very gentle.
It's not traumatizing. It hurts. It's painful, but they don't traumatize you
Yeah,
to
watching
make
him
it happen.
Watching
Absolutely.
him tattoo you, I really was able to see just how light he really was. Like
Mhm.
it was just like a feather. And
Yeah.
You
that's
see
just
that
how it-
every time it touches the skin, every time that machine touches the skin, it counts. Like each mark is with purpose.
Yeah, and you can tell. So he healed up like a
Wizard.
champ, too. I love it. Love it. But yeah, those are definitely two of my super influential tattooers I've looked up to is Marty because he's the hometown hero, and then Guy Aitchison because he was just doing such different, even from the start of his Flash when I got into it to where he's gone is just, it's insane.
Yeah, Guy's my favorite artist. He's probably like my most respected artist. I feel like one of top 5 for sure. When it comes to tattoos, he's probably my favorite tattoo artist in terms of everything we've just talked about. The way his style definitely. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna get my other armpit done by him. Just continue my side here.
You only got just a
Run
little
out of
bit of
room.
space there.
I
It
know.
doesn't hurt worse than what you've already got.
Yep.
Like that day with Russ was probably more brutal than your actual
Yeah, I just
armpit
did
will
your
be.
Armpits, both of them.
Yeah, I've got armpit portals.
Yep.
Yeah, was day 2 of your armpits worse than?
Well,
Most
it was
of
on the other
tattoos.
side. So
Your body's tired.
yeah, it was on the other side. I feel like one of the things I like about 2-day tattoo sessions is A, one heal. But
Yeah.
B, I almost feel like the second day you're already kind of defeated and you're already kind of tired, so you can surrender to it a lot easier. Like you can just like you hit that wall where it's like, yep, this
My energy's
sucks,
gone.
but
Yeah,
I don't even
attention.
have any fight left in me.
It's true.
Get it done.
Yeah.
that's when your
Like
soul
the first
starts
day I
leaving
feel
the
like
body.
I'm a little bit the first
Start
day I'm
seeing
a little
yourself
bit
in
more
the
like
corner of the room.
ticklish and flinchy, and the next day I'm just tired. So it's like 2 different struggles.
Yeah,
Like
it's true.
I
I've hit
think
that point that
I think the
exhaustion.
second day is probably easier for the artist working on me, where the first day I'm just like tickly and jerky and jump. You've seen me get worked on.
Second
Like
day,
I
the
fidget
numbing stuff
every
gets the
time.
shit
I don't know how
worse.
anybody makes even a halfway straight line on me. I don't like I have got to be the worst person to work on. Like I have so much respect for the artists that work on me because I do not sit still. You sit really good.
I sit like rock is what I've been.
I think I was there when Toby was working on Tony, and he was just sitting there like a G. I know it sucked,
Tony,
but
yeah,
he
Tony's
he
just like
sat
a
there
rock.
very calm and like acted like it didn't bother
You did
him.
a lot of painful shit though.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you've done like 2 artists at once. I'd be fidgeting.
Yeah.
So what's the
armpits, I'd be
longest you've
fidgeting.
sat in one session?
One session, I had Russ and Tofi working on my leg for 9.5 hours. So, but you know, Tofi's from Poland, so it was like get it done
Push.
now or never.
Yeah.
It's true.
So
What about you, Jordan? The longest you've sat?
I did 2 days with Nathan Marty.
No,
I
like
might-
one session though. Like,
One session.
how many hours?
We probably did like almost 10 hours. I think that first day. I'm probably like 7 hours. 3 hours of other things and
Catching
drawing.
breath.
We'll get to draw it on and stuff. But it was close to. It was about. I felt like it was about 20 hours altogether for that tattoo. It was a solid 10-hour day each time.
Nice.
And yeah, that was by the end of those days I was feeling it. And then the last thing we did was cover the nipple and just black it out
Right.
Oh
completely.
man.
So that was
Save the best for last.
Ugh.
yeah. I mean, soul leaving your body.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all.
That's a lot. That's daunting. My chest was spread out over like 2.5 years just because like I hated my life. Every time I'd see Ty, I don't know if you guys know what Ty McEwen looks like, but he's the most unintimidating looking guy. Like he is just nothing but smiles all the time. But when I would see him, my hands would sweat. Like
Yeah,
my
you
heart
really
would
get ready
start
to
racing.
put you
And
through
this
the
was
ringer.
this would be like the in between appointments. This would be just seeing each other in passing and be like, Ty, I wanna be social and talk to you, but like my anxiety is on 10 right now. I'm still recovering from what you did to me last time. But he just happened to be the one that was tattooing me in like my most painful moment. Like Adam was soothing me. It was like good cop, bad cop. So now I've got anxiety. Well, not now. My chest is finished, so I'm cool with Ty now. I know it's not gonna happen again. Yeah, we're good. There's no anxiety when I see him anymore.
Yeah, right. Like looking
Have
at
you
your
ever had
torso.
that where you are like almost apprehensive to get something finished? Like, I really don't want to do it, but I committed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, some of them are hard to get through, definitely. Especially if you have like a really painful session.
Yeah.
You're reluctant to want to jump
Right,
back in
just
the
a
saddle right
traumatizing
away.
session where
Yeah.
you had to like just struggle through it.
My first 2
just
sessions on my
getting all
chest,
your
we didn't
energy
use
just
any
to
numbing
finish
stuff.
it.
The third one, we definitely
Dude, I'll
did.
show up with no numbing shit now.
Yeah, yeah, we used Bactine, but we didn't do prenum. The first 2 times. The third time I pre-numbed it, but the third time we were also doing it at a convention, so I wanted to like, oh man, I can't sissy out. We got to get this done. It's been almost 3 years. The time is now. I
Yeah,
can't drag
yeah.
my feet anymore.
That's where I'm kind of ready to finish my collection almost. Like I want to schedule for my foot.
You've got your belly.
I've got my stomach, my foot, and my armpits, pretty much.
What are your ideas for your belly?
Mask, some kind of mask.
Some kind of
Probably a
mask?
Japanese mask.
Okay.
I gotta figure which one I want though.
Cool.
So some kind of crazy mask on the stomach. The
Any
foot, I
ideas
don't
who you
know.
want to do it, or are you still just kind of brainstorming?
Just brainstorming.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I'll collect from next. Yeah, then my foot, my armpits, and then my face.
Do you have any of your collection that's ready for like touch-up layers or brightening?
I would
How
say-
does that how do they hold up over time for you?
Well, you see this arm right here. I got like half of it's newer, been lasered off and redone. So I think that after I hit these big spots, yeah, I'm definitely gonna Chris Longo it up and go through the whole bodysuit again.
Nice.
Because you can see the difference from there to there. So yeah, that'll be my next project after I'm done. Because I'm not gonna do any more. I'm just burnt out on laser removal.
Yeah.
I've had everything, covered up, removed.
So your second layer basically, or third layer, will just be like refreshing what you already have. Nice.
I don't see myself doing my palms or my face. So maybe like
You really don't want a
maybe in
face
my
tattoo.
Ear, I might do like an ear or something. No, not. I'm talking like the front. I might do some sideburns. Who knows?
Yeah. I feel like I might end up doing a little something here and there on the side of my face.
Yeah.
Eventually, probably after I get my throat. Then, if I got my throat, I'm okay with touching my face a little bit. But I do want to save room on my face for like the ultimate transformation in the very end.
Yeah.
When I'm like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
I'll start working on that.
Yeah, I do think one of the things I like about Durb's throat is the way, like, in the front, it
That's
comes
what
down
I'm
below
gonna
his Adam's apple, so you can see his whole face and chin.
Yeah.
There are some, like, throat
Not
sleeves that
turtleneck.
I see that are really nice, and they'll, like, come up onto the
This
chin.
blue is nice
I mean, it
too,
does- it-
expand.
Yeah, yours looks real. Yours
Oh,
makes
man,
me not
yours
afraid
is
to get my
super
neck
natural.
done.
Yeah.
I'd
Follows
probably
those
keep it
muscle
just a little
lines so
lower,
well.
though. Yeah. Yours makes me like, maybe one day, but I like my neck the way it
It's a big
is.
transformation, definitely. I was used to already had the big pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
Even with removal, that wasn't going away. There were still like things lingering. So, I didn't have to. Do my throat,
How
so I
many
wanted
how
to
many
do that.
pit bulls or bulldogs did you have tattooed on you?
Just one. No,
For-
2 actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever owned either one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just had pit bulls.
because like in the time I've known you,
I
you've
had
had
8 pit
you've
bulls at
had
once.
just Hana, your min pin. So I
Yeah.
think it's ironic that you've got these.
When I first started
Big
tattooing,
grizzly
I loved
dogs.
this. Yeah, I lived in a little 2-bedroom apartment. One room was just my pit bull room.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had like 8. I had 2 adults and 6 pups.
Oh dang. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Yep. So
you
I had
played
these
with big
line
dogs.
kennels and I take them out one at a time.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I sold them to friends and stuff. So
How many bulldogs do you have tattooed in Newfound?
None.
No bulldogs.
No bulldogs. I did
Even I
actually
have a bulldog on me.
when I was in high school. I was like, man, maybe I could do a bulldog tattoo. And I was like, man, I'm gonna go on to other things. My high school mascot were the Bulldogs. So, but I talked myself out of it. But real estate, I didn't waste that real estate.
See, my bulldog is like a band bulldog, but like it's a band tattoo that you can't, unless you know the band, you don't know it's a band tattoo. It's just a dog, you know. So.
Boss Stones.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The only band tattoo I have is the Mighty Mighty Boss
And
Stones.
Tony, you got a lot of you got some military stuff too. So
Yeah, I have
name
a sailor's grave on my chest, and I have like my mom and dad with the swallows on my chest, and my big ship's rope on my with the ship's wheel on my stomach.
Yep.
So for my,
I always
that's for
forget
the
how
Navy
covered
side.
you actually are.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
people do.
where-
I think
You
I
have
hide
your
it
back
well.
open, right?
I have one piece on my back, but
we're gonna do.
Right.
Durb's gonna be.
Are your cheekies
tattooed.
open?
Yep.
Is your back
my
piece gonna
and
come
my-
all the way down?
Oh yeah, it'll come pretty low.
It's a
Your legs are
commitment,
covered.
but it's the way to go.
Yeah, my arms and legs are pretty much done. at
So
this
many
point.
people, you'd never know just how tattooed they are unless you've seen them naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, like my legs, like I sometimes even I forget how covered my legs are until I'm like walking to the bathroom or something. I'm like, man, I am really tattooed. Like,
Yeah,
somebody
he's got
seen me
Nico
at-
You're
Bio
like,
back on
hell
his
yeah.
knee too.
Yep, I have a Nico Hurtado Biomech
Oh,
piece
fuck yeah.
because I was getting tattooed by him, and he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Anything but a portrait." So he's like, "Can I at least put an eyeball in it?" So I let him put an eyeball in it, but I have a big bio hook on the back of one knee from him. So,
Fuck
nice.
but yeah,
That's
my
sick.
legs are pretty much done. I got a little bit of room. Fawn was just asking me what I'm going to do with like this little tiny sliver of space. below
Yeah,
the
there's
knee
like I could see like some food tattoos tucked in there, and then some cool filler
to
behind them.
match this donut.
I love doing food tattoos, and your collection has got
Maybe
so
food
some
tattoos.
so like awesome little random pieces.
Yeah,
I could
I
see
have,
some food tattoos in there.
Yeah, my legs are like a collection. They
stuff on there.
yeah they started out as like mostly religious pieces, but like a twist.
They've turned
on them.
into Pac-Man and
Well,
hummingbirds.
it's like my feet are like one's like the Easter Bunny, one's like a jihad devil.
Pat's
I have,
blue
like-
ribbon.
yeah.
What's up?
I have Pat Blue ribbon on my knee. I have Baylor, the Irish god of war and destruction. I have Jesus on the cross from Phil Holt. I have a big robot fight, an old piece and a newer piece from Gunner. Not a new piece, but like this was like when he was working at Stain Skin the first time, which was 98, 99 probably. And then I did this in like 05, 06 probably. So, and then John, who's a friend of Diff Gogway's, there's like the first collaborative tattoo as far as I know that ever got done. Durb had done the outlines, and
Oh yeah.
I didn't get it filled in because I had to leave or he had a client come in or something. I was in the Navy at the time, and I went to San Francisco, and my friend wanted to get a big traditional panther on his back, and I said, well, I know just a place to go. We go to Marcus Pacheco's place. We go to Primal Urge.
Yeah.
So we go to Primal Urge, and of course, you know, everybody knew who Aaron Kane was at the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
And, like Marcus was there, and my friend gets this big traditional back piece from Marcus, big traditional Black Panther crawling up, and Timothy Hoyer was there, and he's like, how come you're not getting tattooed? I'm like, man, I've only got like $50-$60 to get tattooed. And he's like, I'll do something for $60. What do you want? I'm like, well, I do need these dolphins colored in.
Chromed
He's like,
out.
well, sit down. So I sat down, and he 90s chromed them out, and next thing you know, Durb's getting a back piece from him. So
Yeah. It all tied together.
all tied together, but I got a collaborative tattoo from Durb and Timothy Hoyer on my
Nice.
legs. So
And Timothy did my back
yeah,
and my leg.
yeah. So and Timothy still tattoos, and he's still awesome. You know, he still
Oh,
does
yeah, dude,
big
great guy.
pieces and big Japanese pieces from people that want like big Japanese collections. Like he's definitely
Yeah.
somebody to go see if you can afford to see because he's
I
awesome.
learned a lot from getting tattooed by that guy.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
He's a really good dude. With his
Absolutely.
knowledge is strong too. Like mixing pigments and all that. That's the first time I was ever around like artists that were making their own pigments and
Oh yeah.
yeah, bringing some of that old school, you know. So get my back done. Yeah, just learn a lot from him. But he's in New York now. That was in Richmond, Virginia.
Mhm.
We had a live gallery way back. But he's just out there kicking ass. He's got like the Japanese route. That was one of the first guys that literally. I mean, let's talk about like Guy and Marty. Timothy Hoyer is another very painterly tattooist. Back in the day, man, when I was getting tattooed by the paintings that he was doing, like these figures that were like made into violins that were playing themselves, and kind of like a classic painting look. So he exposed me to like fine art, another really fine art tattoo.
Yeah, you definitely see it. Like, I've had the privilege of spraying sunblock on you several times. So you can really see like how painterly it was done.
Yeah.
And like to see when it was done, like you can tell he was ahead of his time.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's a really cool thing to see. Like how many years ago was your back completed?
25.
So that thing is
Still got a color.
25 years
Makes his own
old and
colors,
looks
yeah.
like maybe 5.
Yeah.
So that really says a lot.
Yep.
But
Back then they called him Painless Timothy Hoyer.
painless, huh?
Fucking he put it in there.
Well, that's when you would take a bus back and forth from
I was
Columbus to
riding
Virginia.
Greyhound. No,
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I'd ride a Greyhound 19 hours to get tattooed, wake up the next day, jump back on a Greyhound, like sitting sideways for 19 more hours to get back. Yeah.
19 hours.
Totally worth it. Isn't it miserable trying to travel back with a freshly tattooed
Yeah, and
back?
if you don't get in line,
Oh,
right,
it's
you don't get window
awful.
seat, so you don't fall asleep right.
Mm.
Yeah. So I had to ditch a couple times. But no, that guy's very influential for me too. That's why I gave my whole back. I started going down there. I think Greg was getting tattooed by him back then.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then after Durb got his back piece done, we went to a concert, and a guy.
Horrible idea.
A guy poked Durb in the chest and told him he got ripped off, and Durb told him the price of the tattoo. That was a bad idea.
Did he lose?
I caught the guy.
Did he lose any teeth?
No, but I caught him.
Just a kick.
Yeah,
Durb's famous for his kicks,
I
guys.
think I knocked him out with like one kick.
It was like a
right?
front. Durb measured it
Snap
in front
kicker.
snap kick.
Yeah.
So
That's his move.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up with one non-tattoo collecting related story. So one of my favorite stories that you tell is when you and Adam were still working in the shop, and it was just the two of you. You were both working away, and the bum comes up to the shop.
So we all know I got a rough past. I mean, I still train dudes.
You're a hood rat.
Yeah,
We know.
kinda
It's okay.
grew up
Yeah.
in Newark, kind of rough. Yeah, there was a day that I was tattooing one of my old buddies, Brent Sherman, and it's still no Brent, he's a great dude. And I was tattooing him that day, and Adam had his client in too. And we had local bums were around kind of harassing the women. So if our girls were outside, smoking, our clients, this one bum specifically would come up. He's kind of violent.
This was the old Red Tree
This is the old
location,
Red
by the
Tree,
way.
And this is before the neighborhood started getting nice and stuff. So he came to the front door, and I knew who he was. I was like, oh, this guy's trouble. And then I tattooed right across from, like, right where you can see the door, and there's, like, the side window. And he kept, like, pounding on our door. He's, like, trying to come in. I'm like, we're closed. And I didn't get up, I was just like, we're closed. I knew what it would be if I opened the door. He'd be, kind of confrontational, but a little crazy. So I look back down, I keep tattooing my buddy, and then he starts pounding on the door. He's like, Joe, man, I gotta piss. And he started like kind of yelling it, and I was just like, we're closed. So he had gone around at that point. I see him be like, oh, okay. And he goes around to the side window, and I'm still tattooing, and then I see him like pop up in the window across from me, and all I see is like him like, getting his dick out, and he starts like pissing all over our trash cans and shit, and I'm just like, I just real calmly look at him, I'm like, oh, take my gloves off, walk over, open the door, and I snap kick him.
open the window.
Open the window, open the side window, and I just snap kick, because he's like on a even another level, so I just hit him, and he fucking bounces back, and his dick's flying everywhere, still pissing. And then he pretty much just takes off after that, but Adam was just like, man, I think you snap kicked an aneurysm into that guy. And then my buddy Brent grew up with me, and he knew Newark was just rough, so he's like, man, things haven't changed. So, but yeah, that was, and then the neighborhood got real nice after that.
Just took one kick to the
Yeah.
face.
That's all it took.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know.
But those are the kind of stories that tattoo shops can tell you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
There's a million of them. We all got a million stories.
But
we
nowadays-
had so many bums that there was a bum bench calendar being made.
Yeah, there was.
The old
yeah.
Saints Skin, there were so many bums sitting on our bench that we would put out front. That we
High
had
Street was rough, yeah, like mid-90s.
Do you remember the Urban League where they'd come around and sell you the shirts that they just got for free from the beer reps?
Really?
Do you remember that? Oh yeah, they'd go up and when my shop that I was managing was over by the Newport, they'd go just up and down trying to sell like these Blue Jackets shirts that had like
It was
Bud
insane.
Light labeled across the back. It's like, homie, you just got that for free. I'm not supporting the Urban League for 15 bucks. What?
Potato gun shirts.
What? And I always liked that they'd make it like $12 or $15, and then if you had a 20, it'd be like, well, it'd be a generous contribution to the Urban League. It's like, I like that that's what you bums call yourself. And I'm sure there probably actually is an Urban League, but I just like that that's what all the bums called their charitable contributions.
Well, we're proud to say that at Red Tree Tattoo and Gallery, we are actually bum free.
Yeah, I think we're bum free.
Yeah, we don't experience too much.
I love
Too much
that
bums.
new location. The new location's it's in like an upcoming, developing little area too.
Yeah.
10,000 square foot. We got our own lot,
It's a gem.
and it's
It's a gem.
you can tell that
You
people are
wouldn't-
taking care of the businesses around there too.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
just a matter of time before other things start building. Or
We're
we
lucky to
expand
have
the
that
warehouse.
space. Thanks, Derb.
Water Tower
Good job.
District,
Good
right next
job.
to the
I
UFO
found
in
it.
Columbus.
It does look like a
Right?
UFO. Marty's the
Yeah,
one
it's
that
gonna
pointed
take
that
off.
out to
Yeah,
me
if
too,
you
by the
look
way.
From the street,
It looks like UFO's landing. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
so
great.
I think we're all fortunate to have that place. We're lucky that we found it. So when it combined all the businesses, when I looked at it, I already had like a lot of the rooms were built and stuff. We just had to modify with the windows, and it's exactly what we need.
Yeah,
And it gives us the space too that we can paint. We can do these different activities there. It's just
And so that's what we should close up with is, so we got you here, Derb. How awesome it is, what you've done with Red Tree, and what you've done with Hell City. Like, you are a huge person in the tattoo community. You've done so much for the tattoo community. I think we all here can say, how much you've contributed to it all.
Yeah, I love learning from you every day. It's an awesome privilege.
So like,
It's one of the
even
joys of
even up
4
there
days.
with Guy and with Marty and all that, like I feel like you are up there as well with all that with
Thank you very
your
much.
tattooing, but with what you've done with the community as well. You've brought so many people together, and I feel like everyone in the tattoo community knows who Durb Morrison is, which is
Thank you very much.
super special thing, and it's not.
Nothing but good memories.
It's because you're
Great
such a
memories.
good person, and you've done so much for it, which is so
Thank
great.
you so much. Yeah. I love what I do, and I love the people around me.
And I can tell you, as a manager of True Tattoo Supply, like a lot of people, I'm sure there are supply companies out there that are owned by some conglomerate with a faceless entity overseeing everything they sell, but very few people put the time and effort into what we sell the way you do. So, being artist owned and you carrying what we sell and using everything that we sell and making sure that we don't sell bad products, everything that we have on our shelves is something that you would use. So
Definitely.
that means a lot, from, I think, with your respect in the industry, I think that says a lot about the supply company, and I think that's why we do so well, is because you're so respected. So that definitely makes my job easy as well, because I don't have people giving me returns because we sell an inferior product. So
True.
I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff every day the way some supply companies I'm sure do,
Yeah.
because we don't,
That's right.
everything that we sell, any good artist should use, obviously. So.
Yeah, I feel like we've got a really good R&D department having the team that we do at the shop. Like anytime you get something new, I love brainstorming about new products with you, and I love when you get like prototype things in. It's like, let me use it. Let me try it. Because I'll tell you, like, I'll be really honest. I'll be like, because I work in such long sessions that, like, I can tell you if it's going to keep up with me. I'm going to tell you if it's got the power to put the ink in at high speeds. Because sometimes, like, just because a machine runs fast doesn't mean it's got the punch.
Yeah.
And,
That's nice having you guys there too.
Yeah, I think the
You
whole
guys are
team
all
is
very
just-
educated yourself. You're good
and we all
tattoo
work in
artists
such
and-
different
Yeah.
styles.
Yeah,
So,
different
like, if
styles.
it doesn't work well for one style or one artist, well, how could it be improved so it will work better for all of you?
The
I like that.
artistic environment you've facilitated for us at Red Tree is by far the best that I've had at any other studio.
I feel
We have a lot of freedom, and I feel like it's because of who you've hired, the artists that we have, and it's become like a family vibe environment where everyone's extremely growth minded.
Yeah, it's
So
exactly what I wanted, and bringing it all under one roof right now. The culmination of like all three businesses allow us to test products right there with the artists to be in house. But when I was tattooing privately, because I started Stain Skin back in '94, and then I eventually started another Stain Skin in Newark, Ohio. I went on to work on Hell City, and then sold both those shops, focused on Hell City, and that's when I was tattooing privately, and started developing the products that Tony helps manage the entire True Tattoo Supply now. But I always wanted a shop again where I knew I hate to say it, but getting a little bit older. I knew my back was getting some issues with my spine and shit. but I wanted to have a shop again because I love the camaraderie and the family vibe of tattooing. Yet I wanted to influence younger tattoo artists, and all the people who wanted tattooed by me, I would start forwarding those emails to the artists that were working for me. So seeing how the shop runs now is exactly what I was when I was tattooing privately. It's exactly what I wanted. Everybody's focused on their styles. They grow artistically. You guys are doing amazing.
Yeah, we all get to push in our own direction, and we can. I think one of the cool things with our team is if somebody emails me about something that's out of my wheelhouse or something that like I might have done a few years ago, but like I'm concentrating in other areas now. We've got such a strong team that I can, with confidence, send any of my clients to any artist, and they're gonna thank me. And that's awesome. It's awesome that we don't have like a competitive atmosphere, but we all get to focus on our niche. Like we get to push our own things further. And like some of us are even like, you know, creating our own styles that haven't even been done before. Like, you know.
Experimenting, or we're out in warehouse painting.
Yeah.
That's another thing I like to be able to provide is that space. That's where we're lucky we
Yeah,
found
our
that
warehouse is our painting studio.
Yeah.
And our breakaway.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's our little club.
Mm-hmm.
So where we hold all the paintings in progress.
Mm-hmm.
Paint nights, everything. And we were getting ready to do a bunch of big projects, which we will be doing once the pandemic lightens up a little bit. You know, we'll get back on track with paint nights and some of the art and music shows we were getting ready to plan at the new venue. But yeah, I'm really happy with where Red Tree is. Everybody's busy as shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think every artist at
Everybody's
Red
doing
Tree.
their
How many
thing.
artists do we have right now?
We got 10.
10 artists. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody has any complaints by any means.
Not at all.
We're all very happy. It's a
Yeah.
very artistic environment.
Mhm.
It's great.
Yeah,
I
well,
feel
couldn't do it on
wonderful
my
going to
own,
work
that's
every
for
day.
sure.
You know, it's where I like to be. It's at the
Yeah, it's
studio.
huge. It's like amazing, that
You're right.
motherfucker.
Yeah,
It's like
with
somebody-
the building can
the
be
tattoo
full and it
temple.
doesn't feel full
Yeah.
at all. The parking lot will be totally packed. Our
Yeah.
employee parking will be
So
totally
big,
packed, and
yeah.
it's still like
There's
space.
a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
We're still working on it. We
We
were
never
lighting
have
it
that
yesterday.
cramp.
Yep, and today.
Yeah.
Oh man, that gallery looks so much better now.
So
But I
we're
mean,
still
I hear-
improving, you know.
I hear collectors and clients walk in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never been in a tattoo shop like this before."
Mm-hmm.
I've been in, you know, like people that are like heavily tattooed and they've like been to the old Red Tree and they're like, "This is like, like
Sure,
nothing
we're
else."
Ohio's largest tattoo studio.
I think so.
I can't
mean,
imagine
think
there
we're the
being one
largest in
bigger.
Michigan. I've never seen anything like that in
Yeah,
Michigan.
it's
Of what we have, it's a huge facility,
Yeah.
but you know we use it properly. You don't just cram too many people in there. We have the space to facilitate with
Booths.
extra room.
Yeah.
The artists that we have.
I'm glad we have the booths during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Right
You
now.
know, when the pandemic isn't going on, it's really nice that collectors can like come, husband and wife, or families
Yeah,
can come, and
families
we've
can
got
come
like
back
comfy
in.
furniture to
As
chill.
I tell people now that we've opened, I'm like, it's usually a lot of people in here, but we can't have a lot.
Yeah,
of people
now
in
we're
here,
we're
you
limited
know,
to just
client,
artist and collector.
You know, maybe one friend stopping in, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a rarity nowadays. We
But-
have a lot of people stopping in to buy products too. A lot of local artists that now they have to do curbside, so they just have it brought out to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so things are different.
That was a fun
Okay.
part of the experience, having your homies chill with you. I liked it when
Exactly.
clients would travel in, like say somebody used to live in Ohio and they're traveling in, but they spend their days in town with me. So like their family keeps coming through to like
Yep.
check on them,
Yep,
and like it's
stopping
people
in.
coming in and saying
Yeah.
hey. And sometimes it's almost like a family reunion for me too, because a lot of times I'll know them or I'll have worked on them. So that's really
Yeah.
cool to see like the connectivity between clients when they are
We're gonna go
able to
back
come
to
in
that.
and visit.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day we'll get
One
back
day
to
we'll
that.
get back to that. But right now, safety's the fucking word.
Yeah.
You know, so we gotta.
Gotta keep our families
Yep.
safe. Gotta
I
keep
want
our
everybody
people
to be
safe.
I want my artists to be safe.
Hide your way.
All right.
Hide your COVIDs.
Yeah,
So
gotta
so
hide
now
your
that we've
COVIDs, all your friends.
we've circled back to COVID, is there anything that
back to
either of you
that.
guys want to say in closing about your collecting experiences?
I'm just looking forward to kind of like, because as you get older, yeah, they hurt a little bit worse, but I also think as you run out of the easy spot or the hard spots you avoided, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking to get my foot done, probably my armpits, and then my stomach, trying to keep my old man abs. But yeah, no, I'm gonna keep collecting. You know, like I said, I'm excited to see what you guys continue with. I know, Fawn, you got your sleeve started there.
I got my hand. My
Yep.
hand is the start of my sleeve. That was a big commitment.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
hopefully
Jordan's gonna be
Adam's-
getting tattooed by Adam.
I got a lot coming.
Shit,
I got
like
a lot
3
coming up
weeks.
here. So 3 weeks we're gonna be out in Oregon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my sleeve finished by Adam, which is gonna be fun. I'm stoked on that.
Maybe we'll just
Two-
record a bunch of footage while
weeks after
Adam's
that-
working on you.
2 weeks after that, I got 2 days with Guy from my back.
Damn.
So
hitting it hard.
Oof.
It's crazy when the opportunities just start
Yeah,
presenting
it
themselves, huh?
just starts rolling in, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
What were you? I'm sorry. What were
I
you
said,
saying?
isn't it crazy when those opportunities just start presenting themselves? Like,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
gonna start,
Yeah,
like,
see, that's those things,
just because you've, like,
the
mentally
things you
committed,
couldn't
it'll start
imagine
happening quick.
Just start happening. Like, I did not expect to go
Yeah,
get
I
tattooed
think
by
so.
Adam when I went out there, and then he just hit me up, and it just came naturally, you know. The
Yep.
things that,
Tattooing's like that though.
you know, tattooing and, you know, just life in general, you know, when you just start making connections and communicating with different people and putting yourself out there in the world, traveling, having fun,
I think the life of a
hanging out with
tattoo
people,
artist is exciting.
then add tattooing to it.
Yeah.
Then add tattooing to
Yep.
it, and you know, just the connectivity you get through that. It's another realm, and it's cool.
How many blunts did we go through today?
That's like
Um,
5 or 6.
I think
I think
6.
that's
We
6
went through
blunts.
6. I was struggling. I opened
Beyond
one
a shadow.
package
was
that got
struggling a little bit
smashed.
there, yeah.
It got smashed in my backpack, so
Yep.
there was a fumble on the play, but we got through 6 of them.
If you guys want to see more, like at the on the like the websites and stuff, they go to
Go to Durb's fans only.
There's OnlyFans.
Yeah. You can find him at his own Patreon.
Yeah, just go to redtreetattoo.com or redtree tattoo on Instagram. Yep.
Right, and Fawn, where can we find you?
Fawn_Baker on Instagram.
Nice, and you can find me at Jordan Rookus Tattoo on Instagram or www.jordanrookustattoo.com.
Or
Dot
go to
com.
TrueTubes.com,
Yep.
TrueTattooSupply.com, or
And
on
come
Instagram.
by
Or you could
or
go
find
to
us on
and our
at
supplies.
TrueTubes.
for
fawnbaker.com.
Ask
Or
for Tony
that works
specifically.
Please do not.
Oh. Well, thank you for listening to this whole podcast. If you made it all the way through this, you are...
Congratulations.
You're awesome.
Congratulations, you get 10 points with us. Please comment and say something. Be a part of the community. Check us out at Tattoo 101 on Instagram. What is it? Tattoo_101?
Yep. Tattoo_.
101. That is
Tattoo.
gonna-
It's tattoo collecting. I'm baked.
So
It's
five
tattoo
months deep.
_collecting_101.
There we go. And
Yeah.
there's going to
Jordan's
be our
gonna take caller
podcast
8.
base.
Jordan, take caller 8.
What'd you say?
Caller 8.
Caller
Caller
8, you got a
eight.
question?
Caller 8? Caller number 8.
You're live.
Okay, we gotta go. All right, guys. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Caller 8, we gotta go. That's your, bam. That's your bit.
Caller 8. I look too good to get my face tattooed.
All right. Well,
All right.
we're gonna take a break for a
5
minute.
months
And
later,
we're gonna
yeah.
come back and we're gonna wrap it up with some talk about the godfathers of the painted tattoo.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah.